Christmas night, 1776. The river hardened into jagged ice, daring any man to cross. The army was breaking, bare feet, empty stomachs, fading hope. Washington chose to move, knowing there would be no second chance. Ice slammed the boats as they pushed off. Men froze at the oars, but they surged on. Washington stood resolute. The river would not stop him. Washington and his men marched 9 miles through a blizzard. Some fell. The line kept moving. Dawn came as Trenton slept. At first light, Washington struck. The British broke. Washington led his men. The fight ended almost as soon as it began. One night changed the war. Faith and the dream of a free nation still intact. The American Revolution lived.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Thursday's Table of Titans. We're down to naughty or nice list, and we're trying to figure out who's on that list, who's off the list, and all the changes that are happening in government. It's not the things we want. And again, we've heard this comment before. It's not going to be my justice, your justice, but you will see justice in America. We'll get into that comment just a little bit later as we roll into the show. It is Christmas season. I want to say Merry Christmas to the crowd out there and the rest of the Table of Titans team. You guys been rocking it out for the last forever. I can't even remember how long. I think it's been a million years. You guys rock. As we get rolling here, I got Rdoc, Space Shot, and Tron. Tron, what is going on, my friend? 250 next year.
What's up, guys? 250th anniversary. There it is, 1776, and here we are, 250 years in the future, holding the line, setting precipice and precedents, and most importantly, standing behind our president, Donald John Trump, as we watch 2026 come in. And I'll tell you what, man, this week, since last Thursday, so much going on, so much to get into. And again, it's not deep state anymore. It's just straight up evil. Straight up evil is upon us, and we will continue to charge with our armor of God. Shout out, Patriots. Thank you again for joining us on this awesome show, 7 + 8 years, and reflecting on 250 years of greatness. Boss in the White House last night for a little head fake. Influencer Inc. was announcing Venezuela, boots on the ground. We have 1776 going back to our men and women in uniform, our military, as a dividend. Good stuff for our Patriots and our military. We love it. Thank you guys for joining us again. Thank you, Q the Hammer over on Rumble. Thank you for your support. Hit that thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, and let's have a great show. It's boom time.
Rock on, Mr. Space or Rdoc, sir.
Mr. Rdoc, sir. Mr. Rdoc, sir, is here and alive. I did have another bee incident without the bee. Yeah, exactly. So I'm banged up again. But a lot of stuff happening, but we're only going to cover 2 main topics tonight. And I'm really interested to hear what you pulled together, Hulk, on Susie Wiles. I'll add a few little insights that I have from talking to some folks that I know. And but yeah, we'll be covering the peace plan and where things are at, and the attempts to sabotage that peace plan. And then we'll get into a little bit about Venezuela, and then that'll be pretty much it for tonight.
Yeah, there we go. Mr. Space Shot, sir, how you doing?
Yes, sir. How's it going out there, my fellow world patriots? Let's cut to the chase here. Lots of stuff going on. Crazy stuff. Well, I got to be loud because you complain if I don't. So I'm gonna be nice and spicy here for you today. But yeah, lots of craziness going on in all sorts of different arenas and areas. And can't forget to always thank the mods out there. Big hat tip to Country and the folks over at Liberty Base News, formerly the Patriot News Crew. And we just have absolute, the best I could describe it is just craziness going on out there, all over the place. And like we said, like I said a little while ago, it's in many different areas, and it seems like a lot of things are exploding, a lot of crazy news this week. So enough about me. Let's get back to you, Hulkinator. And again, thank you guys all for tuning in. Boom.
Yep. Sorry, guys. Twitch is broken again. For some reason, last Thursday it didn't want to work. Saturday morning, it worked absolutely fine, and then fired it up on Thursday. It's broken again, so sorry about the Twitch stuff out there, but we're all over the place. I will try to re-add that again for the next show, but let's get into some little Christmas stuff because, again, memes are great. People remember stuff, and we've seen some pretty good ones. Let's start here because it is Christmas.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad.
I showed my wife, who's Spanish. She laughed her ass off when she saw that. And we still got
Everyone
more.
likes it. Everyone likes it. Go ahead, do more. Do more.
We got more. Look at this. This is over from TikTok, guys.
'Tis the season to deport 'em. Fa la 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 la. We love ice and we support 'em. Fa la 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 la. Send them on one-way vacations. Fa la 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 la.
Wait, one more. One's back to their home country with an extra $1,000 in their pocket. If you book now before the end of the year, before you go ahead and being hauled off to jail and then sent through the cattle prods, it's going to be great. We're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later, but Trump is signing an official order saying the day before and the day after Christmas is federal holidays, effective immediately. Look at that for everybody.
Oh, that's going to hurt.
We're not gonna get mail the next day?
People are so used to doing their wires and doing their deposits and banks and bank stuff that Christmas Eve day. That's going to be difficult.
I remember last time I worked though on a Christmas Eve. I think most people get Christmas Eve off anyway. But yeah, you're probably right.
Because and then they run to go shopping, and then you got all the deposits got to be turned into the bank.
And the other thing you got to remember is most big companies, if you work for them on Christmas, for you to get your double time holiday pay, you have to work the day before and after the holiday in order to get the double time pay for working on Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever it is. Just FYI, we got MAGA Christmas.
You get to work in the morning at the White House.
Not so much Sebastian Gorka, but hey, look at that.
I mean, it's definitely MAGA size. Oh my gosh. Look at that. It's beautiful. What could it be? It is.
It's not the Kim Jong letter.
MAGA-sized Christmas card from the one and only President of the United States.
Look, Christmas. Baby. I know, exactly. I thought somebody was going to bring that up.
I love it. I mean, dude, and we talked about, I was on the round table with Joe and Dave earlier and Beer at the Parade, and you brought this up. You guys remember when Gorka over here kept calling Q was garbage, and everybody's busting on him, and they forgot that, like, there was a white trash barrel in the White House window for like a week?
Oops. Let's keep rolling. What else do we got? As Tron had alluded to in the beginning, the networks weren't all that mad.
Donald Trump just had prime time. He interrupted the season finale of Survivor. Okay,
oh my God.
We're talking about more than 5 million people that are watching that on CBS tonight. The president just interrupted that and was able to deliver essentially a campaign speech. That is not what addresses like this. You know this from the White House. It is usually for a major domestic or international incident or announcement. That was not this.
It is usually for a major international event, and White Houses have to make pitches. I remember quite well when the networks rejected Barack Obama's request and our request, though, from the request from the White House to air a speech on immigration that actually had policy in it. But usually you have to meet a certain bar in order to get that time. And I assume there's going to be a lot of meetings in these networks tomorrow morning about whether or not to do that. Again, if they ask again, we will see.
Well, we didn't seem to. Go ahead.
Everybody was expecting him to announce an operation in Venezuela starting, and
he didn't. We got this.
Didn't happen.
We got this. We got basically a rendition of all the things that he's done in the past year, right here. By ending radical DEI, cut waste, fraud, and abuse, target foreign gangs and cartels, revoke deep state clearances. Declassified MLK and all this. This is just a whole bunch of stuff that he's been announcing.
This was a 20-minute Susie Wiles speech. No, hold on. Susie Wiles says you have to get it done in 20 minutes. Susie Wiles was there basically, and then as soon as he rolls off, he's like, "Did I do okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, you kept it at 20 minutes."
Well, so let's talk about her.
This is her speech.
Let's talk about that for a second, because it did come out that the Vanity Fair article with Susan Wiles had let out that Trump has an
alcoholic
personality. And so I went to go check into that. Do you know what those people are really good at? Alcoholics? You know, Rdoc?
Problem solving.
They're focused. They're very
focused.
They stop at anything. They don't stop.
How much they love you a lot.
Uninhibited. That's when you read the interview and you watch you read the transcript. That's kind of what she was alluding to. But in a kind of really bad worded negative way.
So I went and looked, and those people are very good under pressure. 100% pressure all the time. That is normal for them. And if they go home and go watch TV, sit on the couch, that bores the shit out of them. That is not the type of person they are. They have to be going the entire time. That's why Trump is. So I just found that interesting. They're talking about, even though Trump's not an alcoholic, but he has that alcoholic mindset. I just thought that was an interesting comment.
The way she presented it, in the context she discussed it, was that you can't stop him. Once he starts going, he keeps going and won't stop, like an alcoholic type personality. So, when you get uninhibited, it is something you just don't let any other factors stop you from an objective. And so it came off both positive and negative. And if you took that in isolation, that's fine. But keep going. I'm sure.
Well, the other side of it is why was it Vanity Fair and all that, and then of course JD Vance and the rest of the guys are all circling the wagons around Susan Wiles. That's basically the story right now.
No, you got to go deeper. If you don't have deeper, she attacked Elon Musk. Okay, she attacked JD Vance. She called him a conspiracy theorist. She attacked Elon Musk.
Well,
she was totally
he's always been like that. That's nothing wrong with that.
But she attacked him. She was negative towards him. Okay. She attacked.
All right. Interpretations. On to the next story. We're going to skip it.
On interpretations. You read the interview, dude. Don't gloss over this. Susie Wiles, I've been warning about this for a long time. She is not good. She is very, very bad. Okay. And the fact that she was even out there letting this interview process take on for a year, she let Vanity Fair into the White House for an unprecedented interview process that took over a year. And now that the discussion has been that they're going to remove her, they want to remove her, now this story gets dropped. And then the next day, within 12 hours, she has rounded up the staffers and other folks to immediately launch a positive spin campaign on Susie Wiles. This is not by coincidences. This is all done on purpose. She is an asset, and she is a very, very bad thing for Donald Trump, and he trusts her. I've warned about this for months, guys. I'm not preaching to the choir, anyway. It is what it is.
Next story. Here we go.
Because of tariffs, along with the just passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tonight I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend. In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago.
Wow.
We made a lot more money than anybody thought because of tariffs, and the bill helped us along. Nobody deserves it more than our military, and I say congratulations.
They're already receiving those funds as of right now. So as payments go out, those guys are getting that extra money, which is good. The other thing we want to throw out here is Melania is coming out with a movie here shortly. Tron, did you want to put any on this? What you thought of this before?
No, this is awesome, and it's kind of timing again. Hollywood to the downfall. We all know about Hollywood. And not to do with anything with the Reiner situation, but again, this is how our side kind of takes it from the left. And again, Hollywood's dead. We're going to start with Melania, a little documentary series. Boss is going true social into fusion technology. We're doing things differently, and this is great. Melania for the win, and she's a perfect first lady for this kind of. I love the trailer, dude. This is awesome with her.
I'm going to watch this. I was waiting for watch it with you guys here. Here we go.
Here we go again.
You can come in. Come on in. My proudest legacy will be that of peacemaker.
Peacemaker in the fire.
Oh, there it is.
Together with like-minded leaders, we have a voice. Is it safe?
It is safe.
Everyone wants to know. So here it is. Hi, Mr. President. Congratulations.
Did you watch it?
I did not. Yeah, I will see it on the news.
That's funny.
That looks cool, dude. I'd be down for that, dude. 100%.
I'll catch the rerun later.
So what else do we got for you? Might as well rip off the Band-Aid because you had already mentioned it over here. Ashton Forbes over here is talking with Devin Nunes on his the little Trump deal they just had dropped out here, and I'm very impressed because this guy right here doing the alien stuff right here has been talking about this company and like 2 or 3 others for a long time, and he's like, see, look, I told you.
Nuclear fusion has always been there. It really is the holy grail. It's like the sun.
Right.
But we haven't been able to harness that yet. It just hasn't, the technology, the science. But that's the difference between TAE and all the other nuclear companies out there around the world. This is the one that won't rely on rare earth elements, won't have to rely on a bunch of magnets, and it's the only company that's actually built something. That's what we were most impressed with, was not just all the scientists and all the engineers that had worked with private funding, all private funding, I must say. And now what they're looking to do is they need a way to get in and access the public markets. We provide that opportunity for them to access the public markets. And I would just encourage everyone to actually look at this company. I think when you look around the country, look around the world, this is the world's premier nuclear fusion company without question. And when we talk at Trump Media and Technology Group, what do we want to do? We want to acquire crown jewel assets. This is a crown jewel asset that could change the world. Nuclear fusion has.
What do you think, Tron? Crown jewel assets.
This is the way to do it. I mean, again, we've said it several times. I know I've said it several times on Sundays. Donald Trump is slowly fulfilling that Biff Tannen timeline. If it's not casinos, if it's not everything else, Biffco Technologies, Mr. Fusion. Again, the DeLorean time machine, the property of Bedminster was purchased from John Z. DeLorean. This story keeps going further and further. I absolutely love it. And you never saw it coming, guys. It's like Jimmy Carter with his peanut farm purchasing a little bit of Boeing stock in 1979. DJT doing it for the win. And his stock went up 40% today, guys. So if you have a little bit of that DJT stock, you went up 40%. And I love it, man. This is only boss can do that.
Yeah, so they're doing compact cold fusion reactors is what they're doing. And this guy's making comments that this is kind of similar to what Lockheed Martin has developed and their type of technology, what they're doing. But they're talking room temperature cold fusion is basically what they're doing. And everybody remembers that other nuclear scientist that had just been recently killed with that dude. He's was involved in some of this and some making chips for quantum computing.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the same. I mean, fusion goes a long, long way down, but yeah, interesting timing on that. And again, this is just fantastic. And take us back to the beginning, guys. Remember, Q Operation, Department of Energy, DOE, and here Boss is with his fusion reaction company. I don't know, man. I love it. We never saw this coming at all.
And he's also announced last night that he has confirmed 1,600 new electricity generation plants will have an opening within the next 12 months. So that's huge because you're also required to supply your own power for your data centers and AI training. So yeah, you have to do all the small modular nuclear fusion. So we'll see what happens after that. I'm not entirely sure, but it's interesting, especially when this guy doing the alien stuff and the airplane 370 or whatever it was, he's been talking about this thing for a while, and he's like, somebody's been paying attention. What else do we got? That was the plants there. Tron, this, I ran by this. Might as well throw this out there for everybody coming from Dan.
You want to make me the villain? Fine. I'll be the villain in your story. Just don't forget the fucking chapter where you created me.
Just saying. Just thought that was interesting. Yeah, Dan had posted that.
Scavino's pointing out that Susie Wiles is a bad person. We can't wait to see her leave the administration soon. We'll see.
We'll see. What else do we got? Tron, this is for you because I figured out a way that they're going to save Call of Duty next year. When they come out with the next one, this is how they're going to save it.
That's the only way they could literally save it. Sorry, Swickley, but man, the game's unfinished, bro.
Dude, they're gonna put Trump in there. He's gonna be a skin. They're gonna sell the next Black Ops, Call of Duty, whatever it's gonna be, and Trump's gonna be in it, and they're gonna just save America. It's coming.
There we go.
Hey, thank you to R. Holtz Jr. for the $50 Rumble rant. It says Merry Christmas, TOT. Thank you.
Very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace.
If you guys didn't know, the son, crazy drug addict, broke into his parents' house and slit their throats shortly after the Conan O'Brien, or was it Conan O'Brien? Anyways, Christmas party. So he's been kind of estranged from the family, and he is currently under arrest. So another thing. Yep.
Why did this have to be written?
Because he's an angry dude talking about the Trump derangement syndrome. I get both sides.
That, Rob,
the dude's dead, but again, when Trump got shot,
was always an asshole. Rob Reiner was a total dick.
Yeah,
when president of the United States, this isn't something you do. You give this.
Maybe you should go look at what he said when Trump got shot.
Oh, I know. Rob Reiner is a piece of shit.
Yeah, here, read this, Tron.
Rob Reiner's wife, Michelle Singer, was the photographer who took the photo of the original cover on Trump's breakout book, The Art of the Deal. What a small world. I mean, what are the chances? Seriously.
Yeah, I didn't know that, dude. I was just like, holy crap.
Obamas were supposed to be coming over that night.
That's even more eerie.
That's weird.
Were they going to cook up a meal? Did they bring a new chef with? And then the plot got canceled. Strange.
Pizza. They ordered pizza.
Yeah, they ordered
James Alefonte showed up. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hot dogs coming.
Oh my God.
Delivery.
I need a Chicago. Let's keep going. The other thing over here that happened the same night, Grammy-nominated opera singer, I can't even say his name, has been stabbed to death by his 31-year-old son, has happened. So this was an opera guy, happened the same night. It's just like, oh yeah, they're stacking them all up. So Hollywood is going absolutely nuts, and I don't know where to put it. But those are those two back-to-back stories. Just kind of connect those two.
There's a couple more.
Two daytime soap opera actor, or one daytime soap opera actor and another person.
The guy from General Hospital, he was probably in his 70s. I think he was 78. And then the other guy, I don't really know what other movies he was in. I just know he was the bad guy in the Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz Mask movie.
But he died too.
Yeah, he's like he's like typical bad guy of any movie you've ever seen. He's like, you need a bad guy.
Yeah, he was a B-rated actor. Yeah.
But I was highlighting the murders of their kids, so that's where I was going to it versus, drug overdose, this or that. Let's get into some of these here because the White House has added some text to these. I have not proofread any of these here. So if we can get some help on this one, let me get this one chalked up over here a little bit.
They're hilarious. I can't believe he actually did
so
this.
we got Joe Biden first. Mr. Space Shot, go ahead, sir.
Alrighty. So this is, for anybody who's listening on radio, this is underneath the pictures of Joe Biden. Joe Biden's auto pen. Not even his picture. Sleepy Joe Biden was by far the worst president in American history, taking office as a result of the most corrupt election ever seen in the United States. Biden oversaw a series of unprecedented disasters that brought our nation to the brink of destruction. His policies caused the highest inflation ever recorded, leading the U.S. dollar to lose more than 20% of its value in 4 years. His Green New Deal surrendered American energy dominance. And by abolishing the southern border, Biden let in 21 million people from all over the world to pour into the United States, including from prisons, jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. His Afghanistan disaster was among the most humiliating events in American history and resulted in the murder of 13 brave American service members, with many others gravely wounded. Seeing Biden's devastating weakness, Russia invaded Ukraine, and Hamas terrorists launched the heinous October 7th attack on Israel. Nicknamed both sleepy and crooked, Joe Biden was dominated by his radical left handlers. They and their allies in the fake news media attempted to cover up his severe mental decline and his unprecedented use of the auto pen. Following his humiliating debate loss to President Trump in the big June 2024 debate, he was forced to withdraw from his campaign for re-election in disgrace. Biden weaponized law enforcement against his political opponent while also persecuting many other innocent people. He left office issuing blanket pardons to radical Democrat criminals and thugs, as well as members of the Biden crime family. But despite it all, President Trump would get reelected in a landslide and save America. So do you guys really think he would put something like that in the White House if he didn't have things locked down?
Wait, let's put this one up here. Open new tab. Let's keep going. I want to
before you go on to that one though. So one of the things that is related to that was related to the Susie Wiles Vanity Fair thing. She admitted, and they stated out loud to a publication, that it was the administration's policy that for the first 90 days they were going to go after in a vengeance or revenge list against his opponents. And then it went beyond 90 days and it's still going on, and she's a little bit peeved about it. And that you don't say stuff like that. It's just
Doc, isn't that the Vanity Fair? I mean, are we really gonna
no, this is recorded. He recorded a year.
But here's the thing, we haven't seen it all yet,
conversation.
You have to kind of go with
it's a lot of it's been released. A lot of it's been released. You gotta
go,
read the article.
36, 48 hour rule, and you have to also add. And believe me, like we discussed earlier, I'm no fan of her, so I'm not, running cover for her. But essentially, they're basically going to do these things, and they're always going to say and make things the worst. But then you have Trump coming out tonight saying, "Oh, I love Susie, she's the best," and so whatever that was, he's outwardly not mentioning anything. So. I don't know if he would just be pissed off at her and say, you know what, she's fired.
Same reason why they didn't say that Kellogg's fired, or that they stuck the idiot national security advisor that was doing stuff on Signal at the UN. They don't. That's politically bad. You don't do stuff like that. But anyway, the revenge list, she admitted, or revenge policy, was something you just don't say to the press. It may be real, but you just don't say that to the press. Anyway.
Look, Willie?
Go to the next one. We'll just go to the next story. Here's an old thing that's coming back here that they announced over in the White House itself. Let's start here.
There's 13 up here with us today. They all represent about 2,000 people who've served at the border so far. So 25,000 Americans qualify for this Mexican National Defense Border medal that we're announcing today. And what's cool about this medal, it was actually first given out in 1918. So we're reviving an old medal that existed, was given to men and women who defended the southern border. We found out about it. We used the exact same foundry.
So they went out and pulled it out, and here's the one that everybody's getting. It's the service for the Mexican service, or what was it? For service on the Mexican border for defending. So everybody's getting one of these medals. So I thought that was kind of cool as we're rounding up the bad guys. And with the whole military posture, because they've named a 4-star general. We're in a theater war inside the United States, and they're helping out local agencies to go after these bad guys, which means it's only going to accelerate sometime by next year as we see more of these deportations start to happen a lot faster. It's coming, guys. So yeah, ribbon, Mexican Border Serviceman medal. Do I get one because I live close to the border and I've worked in Taco Bell? Maybe border service. I didn't think so either. Where else are we going? Oh yeah, might as well go here. What did Trump say about the whole Venezuela thing?
We will not talk about numbers of troops or our plans for further military activities. Conditions on the ground, not arbitrary timetables,
will guide our strategy from now on. America's enemies must never know our plans or believe they can wait us out. I will not say when we are going to attack, but attack we will.
So we'll leave that there on that particular subject itself, because we got more on the Venezuela stuff as everybody was freaking out. But we're going to head right down in the domestic line and see how the administration's doing. Go ahead. Comments?
Might also be good to point out, the fact that Tucker was spreading that rumor and said that he got it from a leaked congressman. I believe that's the origin. But then remember,
yes,
a bunch of other people, the same kind of binfluencers, throw them all in the same bin. They all repeat and regurgitate. So keep your eye on those people pushing incorrect narratives.
Exactly.
Yeah, there were several senators that were supposedly the ones who were the sources for Carlson.
So yeah,
they got briefed. Yeah, it could be the briefing's real, but the timetable, timetables change, man.
All right. What else do I got for you guys right here? I'm going to play this clip.
How are voters feeling about Democrats right now?
Yeah, I mean, Democrats in the minds of the American public are lower than the Dead Sea. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look. The net approval rating for Democrats in Congress, you said it, Kate Baldwin, the lowest ever. Look at this. Overall, they are 55 points underwater. Their approval rating is south of 20%. It's even worse when you look at independents. Look at this. Negative 61 points. That means that their approval rating is 61 points lower than their disapproval rating. Quinnipiac has been polling this question for the better part of the 21st century. They have never found Democrats, at least
that's some pretty bad numbers when you're talking about how happy the other half of America is, because they're not happy and they're throwing a fit. And plus all the other voters are getting deported. We're going to talk about that more as we get going, but I just thought that was interesting. As we get into some of this other stuff here, a report had come out, says over 90% of the lawsuits against the federal government and the Trump administration have been bought or financed by NGOs with a 14 trillion with the T of your tax dollars. So that's pretty interesting of how they're fighting all this lawfare, and that big report did finally come out. Them going after them and pulling some of this money back, I don't know how they're going to do it yet, but these are some of the reports coming out by independent agencies, but looking at these assets. And that's for second quarter 2025 numbers. So that's absolutely huge. And Trump's been cutting off all this money lately.
Yeah, that's the NGO and those assets. So yeah, I mean, they need to make some sort of a penalty, especially if they're going to be having all these people do this lawfare crap. Like, you have to pay lawyer fees, maybe even jail time, because they're doing this lawfare crap way too much.
The Congress, approves the NDAAs, which include the money that go to the NGOs, and then of course there's the whole USAID thing. And going back to that damn interview. She was pissed that Elon Musk and Doge went after USAID. She was pissed.
What's her name? Looks like a man.
Susie Wiles?
No, the one USAID lady. What's her name?
Yeah. I got a little clip of her a little bit later on.
I hope you grabbed that.
Yeah, I grabbed it.
Okay, here's the other thing.
Samantha Powers.
Samantha Powers. Yeah, that's it. That crazy lady. Trump has come out and basically says that they've signed marijuana from a Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. Doesn't mean that it's legalized or anything like that. It's still going to have federal problems and all that. But this allows banks to go ahead and start supporting marijuana grow operations, sales, and all those sort of things. So that's a pretty big thing to jump on this side. Anybody surprised in chat that this happened?
Yeah, man.
Should have happened a lot sooner, really. Should have happened a lot sooner. I mean, boss, come on, man. Right to try, baby. Right to try. Sign me up. Sign me up for that marijuana testing. I'll do it. No, a long time coming, but it's definitely the next step there. And again, for medicine, remember a few months back, I think it was, right, Space Shot, boss dropped that CBD video on the endocrine system and the nervous system. And again, alternative medicine, RFK Jr., and this is at least the first step. And anyone in the chat there, all those stoners out there, you guys know, you stay healthy. You smoke that joint a day. We had a conversation. Nicotine, marijuana, it's the herbal essence of this generation. And you don't get sick. You don't get sick.
What's interesting about this? So Title III classification reduces the street price, because no longer do your dealers, whatever, have to try to incur additional costs. So Title I drugs, your hydrocodone and all that kind of crap, your Xanax and whatever, that's pricey on the street. So dropping it to a level 3 classification, that's going to hurt the illicit stuff.
More weed, less fentanyl. Let's go, boss.
Yeah, well, Dirty Carpenters here says, let's bring back the 70s, make cocaine great again.
Yeah, there was a period when that stuff was like not illegal. Like they didn't know about it, and they were making
early 20s
trillions.
Soda pop.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola. Well, the issue really was that they had it as a Schedule I drug, which it says essentially that it has no medical benefit, right? But it's in the same classification as peyote, LSD, heroin. You know what I mean? So definitely shouldn't be in that thing. And you can absolutely use the 2 to 3 times. It makes more fiber than cotton.
Oh yeah, for the hemp stuff. And
a lot of clothes and everything used to be made back in the 19th century out of hemp. Absolutely.
Yeah, so far I've never seen anybody smoke a lot of marijuana and then have to go kill somebody or something like that. That hasn't happened yet. Normally associated with a lot of other drugs before they get to that point. Normally we just fall asleep with a bag of potatoes in our lap.
It's gateway. Let's go
Not
back
for
to
me.
Pizza.
Let's go back to Dare. The Dare.
Murder of pizza.
Nancy
half
Reagan.
gallon of ice cream.
Nancy Reagan and Dare,
What else do we got here? Okay, we're going to get into a little bit of the drops that have come out about Spygate or stuff like that. Mr. Spaceshot, you want to read this one?
I'd love to. Julie Kelly says DOJ, Brat, Toscas, Matt Olson, and presumably Lisa Monaco and Washington field office went back and forth for 2 months over the necessity of the search warrant. This is a July 2022 email from the WFO, again reiterating agents did not think probable cause existed to seek the search warrant, even for the president's office and bedroom. At the time, WFO was led by Stephen D'Antuono. Oh, you guys might remember that name, who later testified to some of the disclosures posted today. This email also addressed an ops plan. The final version included deadly force policy. The dispute between WFO and Maine Justice was eventually settled by former Deputy Director Paul Abate, according to the 2023 Washington Post report.
So they forced the FBI to go do this is basically the way it's coming out. The way the cache is laying out the story, because they came out with the info and go, this is what we got. We were pressured by the Biden administration at the time to go after this, even though we've had plenty of whistleblowers we saw a year and a half ago come out and saying that they were forcing us to do this, but it's just coming out in paper that it was 100% true, coming out from our own FBI, which is good things. At least we're getting some of the truth. Here's another one right there, Mr. Space Shot. Read that one.
Paul Sperry, sources tell me FBI headquarters has located a sensitive email. A top Comey official, Randall Coleman, wrote to himself on November 7th, 2016, to make sure the record showed he briefed McCabe regarding discovery of 347,000 Hillary emails that were on Anthony Weiner's laptop as early as September 28th. McCabe, of course, did nothing.
So who else wrote themselves a letter there, Mr. Space Shot? And
I always mess it up. Susan Rice or it's either Susan Rice.
Samantha Powers.
Yeah, which one was it?
No, it was Susan Rice at the very end.
Yes.
The very last hour or so. Now, what's interesting is that remember, it's Peter Strzok who made sure he wrote the queries in a way that would evaluate and miss a lot of this information that's now coming out.
Yep. So other news out of the FBI, we're going to start right here, rip the Band-Aid off of this one.
Oh, Dan did a great job. I think he wants to go back to his show. Yeah, I did.
So we got exit letters out of the administration coming from Dan. Let's go back in time, back to June really quick.
I mean, I gave up everything for this. I mean, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this, and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Cash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. You know, I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C., by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean, we love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
But you're doing some great work.
So, things I will say about this particular situation that Dan is definitely a go-getter that will want to basically come home with the win. Get it all done. It's the way he's always done it. He doesn't want to ever do anything half-ass, and he's definitely not going to stick around with his thumb up his ass and hoping that he can get something done. If he's put in that position, he's not going to stay there, and that's probably one of the reasons why he's leaving. We don't know exactly why he's leaving. We can surmise a lot of the things, but again, we've heard this story a few months ago in the beginning where that he was threatening to leave and they calmed it down. And, obviously we got an assistant deputy director, which is going to take that spot. So this all kind of lines up with everybody's talking about that maybe, we wanted to do Epstein stuff. Dan can't get the Epstein stuff done or whatever it might be there. At that point, they're not going to get the bad guys and he's out the door. Any way you want to look at it. And in my opinion, he's not going to stick around and watch paint dry. He'll go back to the podcasting. I guarantee you he's going to have nothing positive to say about the Trump administration and his experience and blah, blah, blah. What he says, I'm not exactly sure, but I don't think he's going to badmouth out Cash or the administration or the DOJ. He might show some problems with the departments inside or whatever it might be, but I don't think there's going to be a direct firing squad into this. Thoughts for everybody here. You can put your comments out.
I think this is not to be expected, but I think this is right in line. And what we're going to have is him come out. And just like you said, I don't think he'll bash Cash, but I think he's going to come out and he's going to talk about a lot of problems. And I think this is exactly what we need to see. We need to see somebody that was in there, tried to do something, had a position of power, and was essentially roadblocked. And that's what he's going to come out and tell everybody, how we're going to need something a little bit more than these FBI guys because they're not doing it. There's too much crap going on the inside.
Well, when this video came out, we were and there's a lot of people out there peddling this as brand new video breaking Dan Bongino. This was months ago. When we saw this video, I was like, man, Dan, he's seen a lot. He's been through a lot, the family and whatnot. And maybe this was the plan since the beginning, the podcast. He left millions upon millions of dollars on the table at Rumble. And now we have to sit there and watch Vince every morning. So it's kind of nice and refreshing that Dan comes back. And, like Space Shot and Hulk says, maybe he'll come back with some stories from the inside. Maybe he'll tell us how corrupt it used to be and how hard it was to fight within the inside. I mean, Cash is fighting burn bags here and there. There's separate rooms in this building. And again, this might be pressure. This might put pressure on those that are above Dan that maybe didn't do what they were supposed to do. I mean, how many times has Boss turned to, Bondi or several others during these meetings and said, hey, you're going to get on that? You're going to do that? Okay, cool. Pam's got it. And again, delegating the duty. We're seeing a little bit with so much going on in this 11 months. The delegation of duty, we have to get moving. And you can see it's kind of taking a toll on Boss a little bit as he's working 24/7. Someone has to step up to the plate, and we have to complete this cycle. And 2026 is the way to do it. So Dan Bongino behind the microphone. And most importantly, he's a Patriot through and through. And it's great to see him back.
I'm hearing the same thing. I'm hearing that this is more of an issue with DOJ and the FBI and Pam Bondi and her influence. I'll put it that way. The influence on her that is outside of the Trump administration and his frustration with that influence, that because the DOJ is still very political. Oh, mute.
Space Shot didn't want to say anything? Oh, wait, we already did go around. Sorry. I'm sorry. I did go to him first. Round robins. Where else we going? Again, QT time is over. He'll be probably back on mic sometime the end of January, beginning of February. I think he should take a little bit of a break. But this came out from him. Space Shot, you read that for everybody?
Alrighty then. Dan Bongino says, I will be leaving my position with the FBI in January. I want to thank President Trump, AG Bondi, and Director Patel for the opportunity to serve with purpose. Most importantly, I want to thank you, my fellow Americans, for the privilege to serve you God bless America and all those who defend her. American flag emoji. Hulk, what does that leave for?
One more.
What does that leave for Ed Martin?
Exactly.
Cash Patel says, Dan, responding to Dan's post here, Dan is the best partner I could have asked for in helping restore this FBI. He brought critical reforms to make the organization more efficient, led the successful summer heat up, served as the people's voice for transparency, and delivered major breakthroughs in long unsolved cases like the pipe bombing investigation. And that's only a small part of the work he went about every single day delivering for America. He not only completed his mission, he far exceeded it. We will miss him, but I am thankful he accepted the call to serve. Our country is better and safer for it. So, dude, I mean, he's saying right there, take that for what it's worth. His mission's completed. He exceeded it.
Yes.
So
the January 6th, the pipe bomber,
that pipe bomber really, is it really that guy? The black dude?
I don't like that answer, by the way. Go ahead.
I didn't buy that one. I believe the chick. It's the girl instead of the black.
It could be. It could be all cahoots, but I get what you're saying, Rdoc. I mean, he did a lot. We all knew that they wanted to splinter the FBI and CIA into 1,000 pieces and go after Epstein and all that. And so far, we haven't gotten there yet. So we'll see what happens. We still got 3 years or so.
What you just said is more meaningful than anything on the subject. Because remember, the FBI was integrated at virtually every level with the CIA post the 9/11 and the Patriot Act. So that whole infiltration has to be unwound, and he has started an effort to do that.
So let's see if it continues on. Maybe there's some roadmaps and the way that they're going to have to operate the department there going forward. We'll see. And Ed Martin, I like Ed Martin. He took the Missouri versus Biden all the way to the Supreme Court, and then they chickened out there at the end, said government was okay to go ahead and censor and spy and do all the bad stuff we all talked about. That's on that. And then what else do we good? This is Cash's comment in regards to the raid. It says, it's true, we just turned over the documents to Capitol Hill to made public, showing the FBI told the DOJ they did not have probable cause for raiding President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, didn't give a darn, and did it anyways. Because that's what Biden said. He wanted to take him down. I'll remember that, right?
Well, they would have had to gone to judge or magistrate, which you can shop that, in order to get once they go through the warrant process, then they would go to a judge.
So that's that. What else do we got for you here? Comer postpones the Clinton depositions in the Epstein case until January. Yeah, they were supposed to testify today. They didn't show up. We still got 3i Atlas showing up tomorrow, so look out your window. It's going to be the closest to Earth tomorrow. Oh, really? So that's coming. What else do we?
Are we going to see anything out there?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. They're talking about it.
Egyptians were like, saw some sort of really brilliant light show like earlier this week, I heard.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff going.
Just really quick on her. Apparently, I think it was her, Hillary. It was one of the two, but I'm pretty sure it was Hillary. Was in the hospital with a breathing, coughing issue earlier in the week as well. Maybe that's why I don't know, but this was planned ahead of time. Comer did it a few days ahead of time.
Remember when she coughed into like that mug and into the glass, and there was a floater in there?
Yeah, it was like a virus the size of a quarter.
A parasite, yeah.
Ooh. Space Shot, this one's for you.
Yeah, Svetlana Lokova, new attorney's office for the Eastern District of Arkansas, which was investigating the Clinton Foundation on the same day that the Southern District of New York got a search warrant for Weiner's laptop. The computer, also used by Weiner's wife, Hillary's top aide Huma Abedin, contained Hillary emails with possible evidence of Clinton Foundation corruption. Possible, okay. Lynch previously told the investigators to shut down any investigation into the Clintons or the Clinton Foundation. Following the Loretta Lynch meeting with the Clinton Foundation investigators, McCabe ordered that the Weiner laptop must not be shared with the Clinton Foundation investigation. On McCabe's orders, the Weiner laptop was buried with Peter Strzok's mid-year exam team. Yeah, absolutely just horrible, dude. These people all need to be in jail for the rest of their lives.
So yeah, again, they're bringing the receipts. This is interesting. We've actually got official receipts tying, obviously, Loretta Lynch, who had the tarmac meeting. They were just doing golfing and, talking about, spandex and stuff. But anyways, back to this thing over here. She actually got really involved here. Just remember on 8/8/2018 is when they raided the Clinton Foundation. And then we still have the Clinton Foundation tax fraud guys still going after them that just had their court case. So they're very happy in their position here. So that's going on with the Clinton Foundation and those groups out there. What else do we want to throw in here? Oh, yeah. Here, read this one, Space Shot. I haven't heard this name in a while.
All right. Same person, Svetlana Lukova, says newly released documents show that Cody Highland, then U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Arkansas, provided Special Counsel John Durham and U.S. Attorney John W. Huber with material showing how Hillary's allies in the FBI and DOJ, including Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates and FBI General Counsel Jim Baker, shut down the Clinton Foundation investigation. Yet, no one has been charged. Interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, they showed
Trust Huber. Trust Huber. Trust Durham.
Exactly. They got the information in the beginning, but again, trying to get that ball across the field. I mean, they still haven't recharged Comey or what's her name, the other girl from Georgia yet. Or sorry, from Letitia James. They haven't recharged either one of them yet. Just saying. But we are getting some other indictments or whatnot. So I think it's coming. They got a good plan. Let's see if they hold it together here. Here's another one for Space Shot. Go ahead.
All right, mute button. The D.C. Circuit Court just gave Judge Boasberg the legal version of, quote, you might want to read the directions again before you turn that paper in. Kyle Cheney says Judges Rao and Walker have iced Judge Boasberg's contempt hearings until at least the new year, and they want to know whether he has the power to investigate contempt at all or must refer it to the DOJ. Interesting.
Yeah, they're like, why don't you just endorse charges and bring forth the evidence and have the DOJ do all the work? No, I want to do it in my court case. That's what he's trying to do for there. Here's the other news. This one's going to be a little bit of a long 2-minute video. Here we go, all rolled up into one.
Yesterday, we had the FBI director on this show, and he said to us, more accountability is coming. And he said it could come with Antifa. It could come with big public officials. Well, tonight, 3 separate indictments have been unleashed in the last hour. Let me walk you through them. The first is a former national security advisor, John Bolton. 18 felonies accusing President Trump's former national security advisor, the man who turned against the president, of mishandling classified information. Thousands of pages, the government alleges, were sent by John Bolton to 2 relatives who lived in his home, giving secret information from his daily doings at the White House. Some of that information was classified. Other documents taken home or to his office were marked classified. Highly sensitive, top secret, at the compartmentalized level is what the indictment says. This is a very serious national security indictment. In fact, one of the most sweeping I've seen in a long time as a reporter. Now, while that was going on, a separate grand jury in Miami indicted Smartmatic, the election computer company, the company that creates election machines. The government, the Trump Justice Department, accused Smartmatic of paying $1 million in bribes to win an election contract in the country of the Philippines. That is a second one. And if that doesn't get you excited enough, or at least your head spinning, remember just a few days ago, Democrats said, there's no Antifa, it's just an idea. Well, a grand jury in Dallas disagrees. Just about 5 minutes ago, a grand jury handed up an indictment saying that a cell of 11 Antifa members in North Texas were behind a very serious attack against a Nice facility there. Gripping details in this indictment about going for rifles and trying to create harm to the ICE employees who were just doing their job, arresting illegal aliens and transporting them. This attack occurred back around in July in, I believe it was Fort Worth, if I remember correctly. So 3 indictments in just a short period of time. Yes, accountability is beginning to come. The sort of things that Kash Patel said yesterday, the sort of things Pam.
Those are interesting things to come together. The Smartmatic thing, I think, is the most important thing to come out. It being the story that we talked about over a year ago about Philippines, how they were swaying the elections on whoever was paying the most, and they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. And it was from like 2016 to 2019. They were running some of these elections that were down there, and they arrested a bunch of public officials and did a big thing against Smartmatic and their control of the election software that's there. And I go, I wonder if the United States is going to pick that up. Well, here we are again. Them have indicted them out of Florida, which is a good place to start over there. At least it's not DC. We'll see how far we go. At the very end, it did get sold to another American company out here, but Smartmatic, Dominion, E&E, they're all the same thing, all used by the same corporate structure of Dominion or whatnot. So it's interesting. They're peeling pieces of it off. Comments, anybody?
I remember when we covered the Smartmatic story in the Philippines, and this case is more open and shut than some of our U.S. cases, although I think the same precedent can be applied because they were paying bribes to the officials to do certain. That's what they're being indicted for, not election tampering or fraudulent results, but for paying bribes. Now, was there election tampering? That's not considered in this particular case. But the same concept of paying bribes to officials and money under the table to make sure their software and their devices are being used in local elections, that is something that's very relevant to all of our states and counties throughout the country.
Yep, those are big ones out there. That's on that. What else do I want to get in here? Okay, here's another thing.
The Bolton thing is really, really, really big.
I heard they're going to shave off the mustache and then they're going to put it on a plaque and they're going to give it to Trump. Yeah. He shouldn't have written that book. That's all I had to say. He shut up, not written the book. He did it anyways, and that's probably the whole start of his whole issues itself. But that's why we see a lot of these people in Trump administration. They end up turning. They all turn into a Corsi and do the opposite. And you're like, what the hell just happened?
They were like it
He was
beforehand.
the attack dog. He was the scary guy next to him when the other countries. They were like, oh, he's got Bolton. He'll bomb the crap out of anybody. I think that's why Trump had him there.
Space Yacht, read this.
Alrighty then. Robert N. says, this is Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard drops a fire bomb. Quote, I've got a long list of things that we are investigating. We have the best of the best going after this, election integrity being one of them. There is now evidence that electronic voting machines have been tampered with to manipulate election outcomes in the United States, as we witnessed, to overthrow the United States government on November 3rd of 2020. Also, quote, we have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitations to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections. Report, Dominion deleted 2.7 million Trump votes nationwide. Data analysis finds 221,000 Pennsylvania votes were switched from President Trump to Biden. Almost 1,941,000 Trump votes deleted. States using Dominion voting systems switched 435,000 votes from Trump to Biden. And isn't it amazing, guys? We've seen Democrats on recording, oh, these machines can be hacked into. And then Obama, the idea that anybody could even hack one of these machines. It's like, give it 6 months, they'll change their opinion on something. Good stuff, though.
This report put up, this is a report done by the DNI Gabbard. They have the whole report done, but they're not releasing it yet. They say you're going to have to wait until January to see it. But we know all about the fraud, and we've got it all recorded, and here's some of the things we're looking at. So I think something bigger in the background's going on, obviously with the Smartmatic indictments out of Florida and this going on here at the same time that she's completed said report and know where the issues are.
So consider the timing here, because you have midterm elections getting ready to start. And so the Democrats have been quietly, secretly, and the deep state's been kind of quiet behind the scenes, letting Trump blow his gas. Okay. And they've been sitting there working behind the scenes, ready to go pounce, because they know the economic news and other things like that. That's the agenda.
It's coming. Yep.
Now, this throws a wrench into their works, because now all of a sudden, if you have counties and states needing to switch their voting gear, it puts the deep states' clandestine efforts and some foreign efforts off the table.
Yes, and that's good things. And Here's the other side of this.
Israel's part of that, by the way.
Yeah. A little bit coming out from Harvey Dillon. Promises made, promises kept. Civil rights have sued more than 4 jurisdictions: Georgia, D.C., Illinois, and Wisconsin, failing to hand over the voter rolls. Also, you throw California in there at this point because they want to figure out, the SNAP benefits, illegal voting. It's all going to come to a head once they start getting a lot of these lists out. So they're currently suing them, and they're going to have to forgive a lot of this information over to the proper authorities. So
Minnesota's screwed. Minnesota's screwed too.
There's so much SNAP benefit. We're going to get there, but I want to go stop by our girl here who had testified down in Georgia over here. Georgia's basically doing against Fannie Willis down here, and she comes in rolling with, dude, look at that.
You ready to tell them what they want to hear?
This whole giant fur thing coming in, like she's winning, like her net worth has gone up considerably. So she's getting some real support here. And I went and looked because somebody had posted this over here, and I was like, holy crap. So she showed up with this limited edition you can't buy online purse that's like $10,000. You got to know somebody to get this particular purse. You just can't walk into Louis Vuitton and go, I want this.
That's her pimp cup. That's what she said. That's her bling, bro.
So a $10,000 deal. So that's going down like that. So she's rolling big fat, being very supported.
Rolling big fat.
She's rolling big and fat. Here, we're going to throw some of this out here of some of her testimony in front of the Senate here. We're not going to play too much of this, but just to get an idea how arrogant she is.
Screen. I don't review those documents, so you're asking me to look at documents that I haven't for the first time. What I can tell you is that I allowed Mr. Wade to bill 160 hours a week, and then Mr. Wade would be the first one in the office making sure that my staff arrived. He corrected their behavior. They thought that 8:30 meant 8:30. He taught them that 8:30 means 7:45. He got there before them. He left after him. He taught them how to do this case, and he was a leader to that team and a public servant. And for that, him like me has been threatened thousands of times. You want something to investigate as a legislature? Investigate how many times they've called me the N-word. Why don't you investigate that? Why don't you investigate them writing on my house? Why don't you investigate the fact that my house has been swatted? If you want something to do with your time that makes sense, and you can use all this in your campaign ad, you attacked Fannie Willis. What have you done, sir? Nothing.
I'm a victim, racist.
So I'm not a smart man. Rdoc, how many hours are in a week?
Work hours?
Sorry,
How many hours are in 1 week?
24 times.
I don't
7.
know. Don't ask me that at 4:30 in the morning.
168 hours?
Sounds good. 24 hours a day times.
So she's just said that Nathan Wade was working 160 hours a week on what they were paying him for all that money that he had. 168 hours or 160 hours a week out of 168 hours. So only 1 hour, 9 minutes did that gentleman spend doing something else other than working every day.
He counted the time that he was also in her bed. Isn't that right? No, I'm sorry. What?
I just thought that was funny, dude, that she said that much. But let's keep going. That's just one thing. There's a whole 3-hour deal of her just doing this back and forth, not wanting to answer questions or whatnot here. But Fulton admits that it counted 315 unsigned voters were counted in the 2020 elections as we're rolling through. Because remember, we talked about last week, they lost the tabulators, the practice ones that they train on. They couldn't find them. They lost 3 of them, and they are asking the company, where's it at? How can you secure them? They said, we remote wiped them. What do you mean remote wiped them? They're not supposed to be connected to the internet. And they're like, they're connected to the internet. We wiped them, so we mitigated those issues for you. So again, DOJ is still looking at this court case. They want to be the central party between the government and the people running the election board to go, give me all this stuff. Let me look at it and we'll determine who's right. But nobody wants to do that.
Happy birthday, Mr. Clagster. We'll say it again later, though, but happy birthday, brother.
They got 218,000 voters that were mistakenly marked from having provided documentation of proof of citizenship. So Just a couple of election issues on the two big ones that Trump lost. And out of all the numbers that I've seen with the group going through and getting rid of the ineligible voters, the dead voters, and all those guys, it's pretty much the margin that Trump lost of all the ones that I've seen them pulling the list out. So those are good things that are happening. And I think it's going to make a big difference when they roll out with the next election cycle. I think it's going to make big differences. This is Trump saying, hey, he's really happy with Harvey Dillon because they're going through and purging these voter rolls. So I'm not going to play the video because I already got the clip before, but just to kind of put that together, that they are trying to make a difference in the election itself. Let's see if it's going to hold true, but there's a lot of positive things that are happening that most people don't know. And Georgia's still an issue down there.
Give her Bondi's job once she gets on her once he kicks her to the curb.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a bad idea.
Here's the other side of this thing is the SNAP benefits that are happening over in Minnesota here. U.S. Attorney confirms shops are being set up for the sole purpose of exchanging SNAP benefits for cash. Much fake stores, one small store, 150 square feet, cashing out as much as 480,000 EBTs a month. So basically, they were telling the Somalis and the illegals, come to our state, we'll give you money. And there's cartels or groups of Somalis fighting over these particular districts, especially Ilhan Omar's district. There's a particular Somali gang, I'm going to call it, that have orchestrated this fraud so bad that they're locked in there because nobody checks any of the numbers. Now the United States government's in here is taking tolls, and we're going to figure out what's going on. We've seen plenty of raids coming out from the fake restaurants, serving the kids that were never there. It even comes down to the millions and millions of dollars in state for the housing and also medical at the same time. So there's huge amounts of fraud that have come out. The reports are out, and everyone wants Tim Wolf to step down. Will he? I don't know. I don't think he can. I don't know how they're going to process justice there.
It's definitely bad for him. Definitely bad for him. But Minnesota's an effed up state. It's been effed up for.
Yep. What else do I got?
What was the wrestler's name? Space Shot. That.
Brock Lesnar.
Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, he was the governor. Right? Yeah. Brock Lesnar was out of college.
What else do we want to get into?
He was great in The Running Man too. It was good.
President Trump. With Harvey Dillon and President Trump has basically told Tim Walz you have 30 days to re-go through all the people in your state for SNAP benefits, or all they're going to be cut off by the end of the month. So that's in January. At the end of the month, they're going to basically wipe any support for the illegal immigrants. So that's coming. Tick, tick, tick. Give me the voter rolls then. You know, that's the thing they're asking. In the background, they're like, if you're not going to go and check all these SNAP benefits and give me the voter rolls, I'll give you money.
And the narrative that's going to go out is, oh, Trump's, he's just pulling all the benefits for people while, of course, obfuscating the point that, hey, we were giving you the opportunity to provide your information. And of course, you didn't want to because you're clearly fraudulent. So, yeah, that's the whole narrative. And they are just 24/7 anti.
What do you think Ilhan Omar had to say about it? Let's check with her.
And I see it as a national embarrassment that he continues to say those kind of things, even though he does know what the truth is.
Oh, yeah. Take the trash out, Trump. Please take the trash out. Even they were asked, somebody's coming out that said that Ilhan Omar's math is wrong and she wasn't 17 when she came into the country. She was 18. She was an adult. She wasn't a minor. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. They were talking about that. A confidential CARE memo reveals CARE helped fend off USAID's investigation of rampant Somali food stamp fraud in Minnesota because they were causing enormous harm to Somali community. That sounds pretty good to me. Good Lord. We got new jets with paint jobs on there, Tron. Look, deportation for the illegal immigrants.
Why do they have to go home in style? You have to put them on a Greyhound like they did in Cheech and Chong. Take them down.
These are Trump colors.
That's Trump colors.
It is, dude. It's Trump colors, dude. From the original Air
Force. Make them parachute out of the airplane, like make it interesting.
Drop them off seating.
Yeah, still a parachute.
Like Fortnite. Just
give them all different kinds of deployment vehicles. Yeah.
Basically, they also picked up 50 TDA members out of Nebraska for stealing ATM machines. So that was also happening this week. There's a small blip out there. Here, we're going to play a little bit of this. Just make sure.
We are following some breaking news out of Bellevue right now. A man is now charged with stabbing a police officer before another officer shot him. This happened at the Bellevue Transit Station, you'll recall, on Friday. Court documents say that Mohammed Bangura made a false 911 call about domestic violence to lure officers there. Police say that he slashed an officer's face with a knife and then stabbed him twice in the back. And that's when police say another officer shot Bangura.
Aloha Snack Bar is what I heard was being yelled out there. We got a new shooter out here. This is out of Boston. He's been reportedly found and dead in his storage facility. Everybody's saying it's this particular guy right here. Committed suicide inside the storage facility with his name on it. This is the same gentleman that went.
Isn't that guy that you dropped a link by Belichick, whatever that is? Wasn't that the same guy? Yeah, same guy.
I sure did. That's a couple days. Yeah, a couple days. And so, yeah, they said that this guy was up in a storage locker. They surrounded the place.
No, wait, they got some guy named Claudio. Sorry, they got some guy named Claudio though. Valente.
Really?
This is like less.
Yeah, they're actually saying that he's
I don't think this Mustafa guy.
You got the official name? Because this is the one I've seen been flowing around. I don't know if they've released the name, but I've heard that was this particular guy. What else did I have in here? I had something else supporting.
Wait, who was found dead? No, it's the Ham. Yeah, there's two different people here.
Okay, then I might be confused then. So it just might be me. But they're going around the idea that it's not a Muslim man, even though students are reporting that he was yelling Allah Akbar.
You can be Muslim and look European, okay?
My Bosnian friend, I had no idea he was Muslim until he told me. I'm like, whoa, you're white, you're tall, you don't look anything. He's like, yes, you'll never notice.
Where else we're going to get into?
Remember the Boston Marathon bomber?
Yeah, those guys too, the Sarnoff brothers. They were,
Yes, it's a guy named Claudio.
Yeah, right?
Okay, good.
Body of Claudio Neves Valentin, 48.
So sorry, Mustafa, if you're watching, our bad.
Yeah, sorry. Didn't mean to throw you out like they did with the service member.
Yeah.
Fadlak Mustafa.
Yeah, very common name, actually.
And then the same guy rolled over and shot this guy is what they're saying. And this is the smart nuclear physicist one that's doing.
This is like a Terminator scenario when they go back for the black guy in Terminator Part 2, the creator of the whole scenario. What if this is happening? Again, 40,000 foot. This is crazy. What was this guy working on? We got to do a little dig.
Quantum computing chips. He was designing quantum computing chips.
Yeah.
Stuff that we're going to accelerate.
We'll go over it on Sunday, guys. Don't worry.
We'll go over it. You're going to enjoy it. What else we got for you? They said they didn't I didn't even know where to put this, but a lot of people are reporting that they don't have any video or anything like that. But one guy just went and searched on Google and says, what do you mean they don't have cameras? Here are the camera right here. It's posted right on Google. They just shut them all off a couple of days before. So I don't know where to put it. But they definitely got plenty of photos and Rhode Island stuff saying we don't know where he is. And the guy over in Massachusetts, they found him over there and cracked the case open because they got the license plate number. Whole bunch of weird stuff. Biggest op I've ever seen. I don't even know where to put the truth anymore with the amount of this stuff. It's worse than Parkland.
Hearing that what they were saying was that they had certain cameras turned off so that they could not identify, so ICE couldn't identify people and certain people in the area. And I also heard from the mayor, I think, Smiley, who said his two kids graduated from there. And his excuse was that the building that they got shot in was a very old building that they basically, when they built up the buildings, they just attached onto it. And so that's just an older part of the building that didn't have cameras, from what he said. But from what you just showed, shows there are cameras in that area.
Yeah, exactly. Other thing is they were going after this particular Republican, Ella Cook, who had like about 20 people in her group. So yeah, they're basically positive Republicans, and the guy came and shot her right in the face first, is what we're hearing on the reporting. So yeah, it's again that violence that comes out of the left is crazy, and they think it's totally normal. Dehumanize people and just treat them like objects. You just kill them, no big deal. We also had another big deal happen out over here with this Trans-Tifa over here. causing issues over here in California, where we had our attorney general over here because they're planning a New Year's Eve Christmas style attack, a terrorist attack, out in California over here.
We're learning more about the left-wing New Year's Eve terror plot that the FBI broke up. Big surprise, it involves Trantifa. One of the 5 arrested is a former cop and Marine, Micah James Legnan. Sources say they're a Trantifa extremist and wanted to recreate Waco on ICE agents in New Orleans. The rest of the radicals were planning an attack in L.A. Zachary Page is also trans and is now begging the judge to go to a women's jail. Hopefully the judge denies that request.
So, yeah, that happened out here in L.A. Dude, they're tracking these people down with Reaper drones and all that. They spent a lot of money tracking these people down in these Transtifa and Antifa type groups here. There's a lot more coming here, dude. It was pretty interesting because this is the California Attorney General and some of the other guys talking about how they were using airplanes and Reaper drones to freaking take these guys down.
It's not an organization. It's not organized. What are you talking about?
So at least 5 locations they intend to target within Orange County and LA County. So they were going to blow some stuff up and kill some people is what they were planning, guys. Yeah. Crazy. I want to throw this out
for
there.
Anybody that understands what Lafayette, so this has to do with New Orleans and Lafayette, Louisiana. And if you know anything about Lafayette, Louisiana and Broussard and that whole area in Franklin, that's redneck country. It's not a place where you would expect to have a Transtifa type organization rise up. However, there is a big rap community in the New Orleans area. That's Lafayette is a little bit farther away from New Orleans, but there's big dollars flowing into Louisiana in the rap music industry.
Yep. Space Shot, you want to read that for everybody? This is from a shop in California sells T-shirts with this on it. It stopped a whole bunch of people. I had to go find it after I heard about Transtifa.
Hey, reading? Next one.
This one right here?
Say that over the
trans women are just retarded fags. I like it.
Where else are we going to go? Oh, as long as we're talking about crime data per states, this one picked up from Washington out here, being Washington State being so high in the total crime rates per 100,000 from 2024. I just found it interesting. I haven't seen it laid out in a graph like this. So go ahead and pick your state out. Look at California, how high it is up there, dude.
I guess New Mexico, because it's a border and it's like so low population.
Yeah, probably all the states are giving away the CDLs, which is another thing that's coming up.
Louisiana so high because of New Orleans.
Yep. What else do we got? It also come out there in that same list that armed citizens had stopped 48% of the shootings in America. That also came out from those 2024 crime statistics. So I just want to remind everybody. No shit.
I think we reported on that. Didn't we report on that?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. What else do we got? Jack Smith came in and made an appearance. Do you think he said anything important?
Mr. Smith, do you have any regrets about the way your prosecutions of the president were handled? What do you plan to tell the committee today, sir? Mr. Smith, do you prefer a public setting for this hearing?
He looks like al-Sharaa, the Syrian president, former ISIS.
Look at Ivan Wakeland with the bald head at the end right there. He follows him and he's calling him Jackass Smith the whole time.
So yeah. What did Julie Kelly? I got some comments coming out of there. What did he have to say?
So I can't get into the details of Mr. Smith's testimony, but I will tell you he did not take the fifth like his deputies did. We have deposed 3 of his deputies. They took the fifth, a couple of them took the fifth multiple times, 70 and 71 times respectively. One of them we referred to the Justice Department because we believe he was truly obstructing our investigation. We don't do many of these referrals. The facts have to be there, and we did for Mr. Wyndham, one of his deputies. So I think we got some important information today.
So that was one thing happening. That's Jim Jordan, because he was asking the hard questions out there. It didn't plead the fifth. What did he say? Read the comment right here. Space Shot.
Help check your DM too. Jack Smith was, quote, very arrogant in the proceedings. Quote, I heard that he was very arrogant in the proceedings, which is not a surprise because that's how we've seen him conduct himself for years. He's appeared very haggard, apparently, so maybe that's a good sign that this is wearing him down. Yeah, he definitely looked like he was looked like he didn't sleep too good the night before or in the last 10 years, probably.
All right. Okay.
I'm loving to see that though, dude. I mean, yeah, he looked all disheveled. Another good word.
And I just want to remind everybody that the Supreme Court has already decided against Smith a few years ago by 8-0, him going after one of the local governors that had to step down and fraud and all that. Ended up all being a lie, and they made it all up, and bad prosecutor, bad AD, the whole thing. So they already got that flipped over. You ready, Mr. Rdoc?
I am, if you are. Go ahead.
I don't see it. Oh, there it finally popped up.
Because I never hit the enter button is the problem.
I can do Chicago steaks. Want to do a steak?
Let me see what we get.
We got the meats.
Meat sweats.
Oh, I got boxing.
Which one are you talking about?
How about Misfits boxing?
All right, pressing.
Chris Tucker?
Commercial!
Break for 30 seconds.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Fight fans. I'm loving this. On December 20th, the biggest crossover boxing event in the year drops live from Dubai only on Rumble Premium. It's Misfits Mania. The fight before Christmas, headlined by Andrew Tate, stepping into the ring against heavyweight champion Chase Demore for Misfits boxing heavyweight title. This isn't just another bout, it's a global event with a stacked undercard and an all-out action you can't miss. Tune in exclusively on Rumble Premium and witness drama, power, and one of the most talked about clashes of the year. Mark your calendars December 20th because Misfits Mania is about to deliver fireworks. Sign up today.
Commercial!
Break for 30 seconds.
I forgot about that one, dude. I thought in the beginning it was going to be about the Anthony Joshua fight tomorrow on Netflix. I'm like, wait, only on Rumble Premium? I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, that's going to be interesting, dude. I wouldn't mind seeing Andrew Tate get knocked out by a kick to the head.
Oh, I take that. Oh my God, you did find it. I didn't even throw it in there, and Rdoc still found it. I'm watching. I am ready. How about you guys?
And yes,
Tron?
Puppet Regime. I will be AWK for about minutes.
You good?
After Puppet Regime's over. Yep, go ahead, Hulk. Rdoc. There. Rdoc?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying to click a button and to stop the stream so I can serve my resources, and it screwed up on me. All right, that's okay. Let's move on. Go on. Here we go. I haven't even watched this yet, so we'll see what this is like.
Okay, sending invite to my holiday party and... done. Oh, crap. I accidentally sent invite to... What the? Invitation to Putin's holiday party? This must be some kind of mistake. Suka. Do I send another message to clarify that it was mistake? Or will then I just look like a loser for clarifying obvious? It must be mistake, right? Should I ask him? But then he will have space to tell me it was mistake, which will be humiliating. But what if he thinks it's real and then shows up? It will be more awkward than Mette Healy showing up to Taylor Swift's wedding. Should I just show up? What if he finally does want to meet? No. He would probably tell that Poodle Witkov to let me know first, right? Maybe I should just ask Poodle Witkov to sort this out. I wonder who I could call for advice on this question. Maybe the Europeans? No, but seriously, I guess I have to bite a bullet. Hello? President Trump, I need your help. This again. Yes. President Putin sent me invitation to his holiday party. Do you know if this is for real? What? He's having a party and he did not invite me?
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Okay. So we got some more Christmassy stuff continuing here. with snow in Saudi Arabia, which it's real snow. It happened a couple years ago. Yeah, it happened a couple years ago. I remember it was. There's parts of Saudi Arabia that.
Yeah, they too much cloud seeding. It happens. Oops.
There was some, evidently, this isn't the only festive spirit going on in Saudi Arabia. I didn't bring the clip, but evidently they've got some wild parties with some hot chicks going on too. So that's some new change. The spirit continues with Poland. Here we go. Santa Claudius. Santa Claudius in Poland. Yeah.
Not one
Not
rainbow
as good as
flag.
The Rockets. Yeah. Actually, the Christmas markets in these towns are awesome. It's definitely worth come. Most people go to Europe in the summer. Now, we do have some other stuff going on in Europe, including the preparation for the big Eurovision contest. And here is the actual stage design released by Austria.
Kyle. Hell yeah.
2026.
Arnold Schwarzenegger has one of those belts that has that symbol on it, I think. Yeah. It means good luck, Doc. It means good luck in India.
That's right. It's hope. It's hope. It's renewal. It's rebirth.
And it means the Aryan race. Hell hit. No, I'm just playing.
That's right. Indo-Iranian. That's where you get the word Aryan from. All right. So this is...
Now, German authorities have arrested 5 men on suspicion of being involved in a plot to carry out a deadly vehicle attack at a Christmas market. The arrest took place on Friday in southern Bavaria. The suspects include an Egyptian national, 3 Moroccans, and a Syrian. Authorities say they had been planning to ram a vehicle into a crowded Christmas market in the region. This comes after heightened security measures were put in place following a car ramming attack at a Christmas market in the city of Magdeburg last year, which killed 6 people and injured more than 300. The Egyptian suspect was reportedly an imam at a mosque. Authorities say he called for the attack to be carried out with the aim of killing or even injuring as many people as possible at the market. The 3 Moroccan suspects are said to have agreed to participate in the plot, while the Syrian man allegedly encouraged them to follow through with the plan.
This part I don't understand. So how many people does it take to drive a car by a Syrian man into a Christmas market? I guess it takes 5 additional Moroccans sitting in the seats behind him, giving him directions because they're good taxi drivers. I don't know. Anyway, so moving on from there. We did have some information come out by Fortune magazine that was interesting. So we heard a lot of stuff about Trump tariffs being released. So they've actually done the analysis. So we have a $38 trillion national debt. That's a big number. The tax revenues brought in by tariffs is nowhere near that much to even make a dent in that number. But it's a try. It's a start. But there's some reality that's been kicking in. And this article is a really good deal to dig into some of the details about actually what is happening and economists are digging into the numbers to see what's real and what's not real, what's political spin and what's not political spin. Mike Flynn, of course, had a great post, and I saw this, and I'm like, I got to grab this because he says a reminder, and we have this post that we've covered on the show before with Tulsi Gabbard talking about the biolabs. And so Mike Flynn is, reminding us all, hey, this is not something that you should have forgotten about. And so I'm going to bring.
Do you have any idea when she recorded that video?
I did not. It's been a couple years. It's been a couple years now.
But obviously way before she started the administration. But we're talking between Trump and Biden, right?
Yes,
somewhere in there.
Yes, it was during the Biden administration, if I remember. And, I can't remember if it was during the campaign, though. She may have been. Yeah. All right. So kudos on General Flynn for reminding us all about that. And what was this supposed to be? Greg Greenwald commenting about a post by Marco Rubio. Today, Trump administration sanctioning 2 ICC judges. They were directly engaged in politicizing and illegitimate actions against Israel. Of course, this is about them having a case that was brought to them and accepting the case and basically saying, okay, we're going to rule for the arrest warrant of Netanyahu. And of course, Marco Rubio, we shouldn't be involved in this. We're not even members of the ICC, but we're going ahead and sanctioning these two judges who were part of the process, I think, that South Africa brought against Netanyahu and the Israeli regime for what it was doing in its genocidal actions, blah, 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 whatever the original case was all about back then. All right. This was interesting news. So the UK had a big deal in their parliament the other day. And if you caught any bit of it, it was like comedy. It was like a farce. So they basically got all excited because they went after Abramovich, Roman Abramovich, the former Ukrainian oligarch, or current Ukrainian oligarch that owned Chelsea Football Club, right? And he's also famous for other reasons, which we know about. The Abramovich name is not something new to us here. And evidently way back in 2022, when he was like, no, don't take my assets, don't seize my assets. And remember that he sold the football club and he said, I'm going to give the money to Ukraine to support the victims of the Russian invasion of Ukraine way back in 2022. Well, he still hasn't done it. And so the UK government is forcing him to do it or facing legal action, the full power of the government coming down and where they'll sanction the money away and steal it. Okay. Well, the whole issue is that the UK is desperate for money, just like all of Europe. They've been spending money to Ukraine and lying to their citizens, and now they're desperate to try to make up the shortfall before the end of the conflict so their citizens don't throw them all out of the freaking office. And some stuff happened, and I'm not quite sure, but initially we had some comments that Donald Trump made about a reporter. And the female reporter, I think it was referred to like a little piggy on Air Force One or something. That is, you're pig. He's like, something like that. And the way he talked to her. And so Starmer gets out there and he calls out Trump and says, they'll never talk like Trump. Quiet little piggy. Let's listen to what he says.
There are many people across the country who don't know somebody who's been subject to abuse. It's really difficult.
Well, you know someone very close, one of our closest allies, shall we say, language quiet piggy. Would you allow for someone to speak to your daughter, your wife, your colleagues, in the way that Trump spoke to a female journalist?
No, I wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't.
And would you class that as misogyny? And would that be something you would be looking at?
Blah, 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 blah. Starmer is the most boring man in the world, and he's out there, trying to make a case. Well, also, though, during this past week, Putin, while addressing the National Defense Council, made a comment in which he called Keir Starmer and the other Europeans little piggies. And GB News picked it up, but Kirill Dmitriev, corrected him. He says actually he didn't call them little piggies, he called them little piglets. Okay, because of they want to suck off the teat and get lots of money. So that was going along with this whole little piggy theme. All right, and we're going to get into little piglets a little bit later on when we talk about that meeting again. But I just wanted to bring that up because Keir Starmer is dogging on Trump, and Putin kind of comes back and calls the Europeans after that whole episode little piggies themselves. Thailand, Cambodia, I threw this in the start. We're not going to go into detail about this, but this is one of the 8 conflicts that our president brags about settling. He got the 2 guys to come to the White House to sign the big deal. They all talked about how they're going to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize, blah, blah, blah. Well, they've been fighting. We covered this last week and I think the week before. The fighting has intensified even after Donald Trump talked to them and tried to make them come to an agreement. Within 14 hours, it broke apart, and it's now gotten really out of hand. And so this is an area to keep an eye on and watch for, because just because you say, I'm going to give you sanctions relief, or I'm going to give you tariff relief, I want to make good deals with and this is his kind of approach in foreign policy with these 2 countries, it's dependent on them, their greed. You're like the Gordon Gekko deal. What did he say? Tron or Space Shot, somebody know, Gordon Gekko, greed is good. Is that what the quote is? Greed is good in that movie. Anyway, was that Wall Street? Was that the movie? Anyway, is anybody still there? Are you guys all taking food breaks, taking naps?
No, I'm changing the oil on the 2005 Ultima. Go ahead. I never watched that movie yet. I still have to get through Star Wars, Doc. I'm behind.
My God. Okay. Anyway, the conflict is not being settled because the root causes are not being addressed. And you now got over 400,000 civilians being displaced. You've got, I think, something like 100 civilians were killed just the other day in some bombing issue and so on and so forth. It's becoming really complicated. So that's not a good situation. And then, of course, we had the Syria shooting of our soldiers in Syria. We're not going to go into a lot of detail there. Their bodies were returned the other day, and Donald Trump was at the airport with Susie Wiles in tow, where he addressed everybody and the receiving of the 2 soldiers and the 1 civilian interpreter back, and their bodies were returned back to Iowa. They were members of the Iowa National Guard, and they were shot by supposedly a single gunman on their way in a convoy towards Palmyra in Syria. Now, this is being blamed on ISIS and ISIL. And Donald Trump's comments, if you watch the video response, when he was asked by a reporter to address this initially, he said that, I think this is a quote, that he spoke to the Syrian president, the former leader of ISIS in Syria, specifically Idlib, Syria, al-Nusra, Syria, and the president of Syria, al-Shara, al-Jalani, whatever his name is today, the guy that looked like Jack Smith, that he was upset. He was really upset that this happened in Syria. Well, this is a dangerous situation, and unfortunately, ISIS still is in charge of Syria. A lot of weapons all through that country. There's really no policing whatsoever. However, 5 arrests have been made. Trump has vowed retaliation against this ISIS splinter group, because they're now saying it's a splinter group. Well, all of these are splinter groups. They're all like that. They're little warlords, just like in Somalia, and they all get together under one serious, powerful warlord, and that serious, powerful warlord is al-Jalani, the leader of ISIS. Okay, so basically somebody's not following their leaders. Anyway, okay, moving on, getting into the meat of the matter. So tonight we have the peace negotiation process. And yeah, there's a lot of links, but we'll move through them pretty fast. And then we have some situation on the ground, because we have to explain what's going on in the peace negotiations, and ask yourself, as we go through these news stories, why? Why? That's the question to ask tonight. And then we'll get into Venezuela, and we'll also ask that question, why? And we'll try to answer it. And then finally, we might touch a little bit on Bondi and the Bondi shooting and a couple other little stories. Okay, so let's jump into this thing. All right, and first of all, so we're going to start out the beginning of the week. We know that Witkoff and Kushner, and they're going to fly to Berlin, and they're going to have the meeting with Zelensky. So Zelensky and the whole media team of the European Union, the U.S., and everybody else, the deep state media, goes on a propaganda messaging tour for Zelensky. I'm going to give up Ukraine. No, NATO, we're not going to get into NATO. They know ahead of time what the 28-point peace plan says. Donald Trump's saying, he didn't even read it. He didn't even read it. And Zelensky's out there saying, we reject anything. But the media is saying, Ukraine agrees to all the peace plans, and Russia is opposed to all the peace plans. Well, Zelensky shot down right off the bat 8 or 10 points of Trump's peace plan. Anything to do with territory, anything to do with reducing soldiers, anything to do with reducing the Ukrainian army, all based on the Europeans' advice to him saying, we're going to back you, buddy. It's okay. Go ahead and make these strong statements. And so he's out there saying, okay, we will not get into NATO. And so he's out there sending the bad news, but with a spin. Okay, before Witkoff even arrives for talks and to present this plan officially, which have been speculated about in the news. So the talks happen in Berlin, and Zelensky made some comments here. So So it was 2 days of talks. And actually, I can turn the volume down on this probably and just talk over it. So it was 2 days of talks. So you have Steve Witkoff there sitting next to Zelensky. Jared Kushner was there, and on the second, Mertz was in the meeting at first. Okay, so we're gonna hold this series image right here. Mertz was hosting the meeting in Berlin, and supposedly Mertz was asked to leave. So the U.S. delegation asked Mertz to leave the meeting and not be part of the meeting with the U.S. side and Zelensky, and I think he had like 4 members with him there. And Mertz was not a happy camper that he was asked to leave the meeting he hosted. Okay, and then the next day, Stub arrives, Trump's golfing buddy. Stub arrives, and he kind of takes over the hosting duties. And then there's a separate meeting in which a bunch of these leaders were in attendance at, and that's where this photograph was taken here, back over here, where we see all the leaders standing around, whatever. So Ursula was there, Macron, look at Mertz, you have all these leaders there. Maloney was sitting there at the end. I don't think we have a picture of her where you can see her, but she's, so on the other side of Kushner, yeah, when they get to Kushner, maybe you can see Maloney. And let's just let this thing roll. Yeah, there's a Maloney. You can see her shoulder right there. So there, Maloney was there, and of course Putin and then the Russians, they start reading others' reports in the media, and the media reports are all about how this 28-point peace plan has been reduced to like 20 or 19 points. The meeting didn't go very well, that Zelensky wasn't in agreement, that the Europeans and Zelensky kept arguing with the U.S. side, that they weren't going to give away territory, that they weren't going to reduce their forces. And they said the Russians have to accept this. And then it looks like, even though Witkoff made some comments and said, yeah, you know, things were going good, et cetera, that, you know, maybe it didn't quite go as well as it should have. So stated in a post on X platform that discussions were thorough and comprehensive. Donald Trump also came out and made a comment when asked by a reporter, and he said, I think we're really close. I think we're really close on a peace plan. You know, we're like 90% there. Well, it's that 10% that is the sticking point, and that 10% involves you know, some ideas that the Europeans and the Ukrainian side proposed that they know the Russians will never agree to. And they did this on purpose to sabotage the peace talks. They did this on purpose because they know, you know, they still have this mentality that some of their generals and some of their people over there are crazy enough to think they can win a war with Russia. And Donald Trump's trying to be a realist and get a real peace proposal in place that everybody, so the fighting can stop and this can be an enduring, lasting peace. Not just an economic deal, but the Ukrainians and the European side are trying to entice Donald Trump with this idea of an economic zone. You can get your assets. This zone will be the United States military boots on the ground enforcing the peace. Sounds like a potential opportunity for a false flag that will suck the U.S. into a war. And of course, the Europeans are out there talking about war nonstop. And this is the kind of insanity that we've got going on. And this is the guy that Starmer put in charge of the United Kingdom Armed Forces. Let's hear what he has to say.
We should also be honest that perhaps the most obvious impact on all of us will be the cost of building this resilience. Sons and daughters, colleagues, veterans will all have a part to play, to build, to serve, and if necessary, to fight. And more families will know what sacrifice for our nation means. That's why it's so important that we do explain the changing threat and the need to stay ahead of it. We should also.
So this whole idea, he made the comment that, like, our predecessors or the ones that are friends and family and veterans that were in World War I and World War II, that our sons and daughters now, today, you out there listening to my voice, you will have to sacrifice like they did. That means fight and die. This rhetoric is not just coming out of his voice as the top commander of the UK armed forces, that Starmer is committing to go to Ukraine, but it's coming out of France. France last month, we had a general say something very similar, and it continues in Germany. And this is Canada's top general, who's a DEI hire, saying the same basic thing. They're warmongering. They're trying to gaslight the public, saying Russia's coming for you, Russia's coming for you, Russia's coming for you, and we got to go fight. We're going to spend more money. We have to keep the corruption going in Ukraine with golden toilets and everything like that, because otherwise Russia's going to come and take over our town and village. Okay, that's the warmongering that's going on.
Oh,
and Mark Rutte,
pay no attention to what and pay no attention to what Israel just did on Bondi Beach, right? Russia's coming.
Okay, so here's Mark Rutte.
We are Russia's next target. And we are already in harm's way. I fear that too many are quietly complacent. Too many don't feel the urgency. And too many believe that time is on our side. It is not. The time for action is now. Conflict is at our door.
Really?
Russia has brought war back to Europe. And we must be prepared for the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured. It is a terrible thought. But if we deliver on our commitments, this is a tragedy we can prevent.
Okay, it's more of the same thing. They got their marching orders, they got the script writers and the media moguls to tell them, okay, this is how we want you to present this. You European elites, you corrupt sons of bitches, go out there and start selling this, because if we don't continue this war, we only got 2 weeks to get these assets. Actually, it was the other day. They had to get these assets agreed to by December 18th. In order to, well, that's today for you guys, in order to meet the timeline that Ukraine needs this money. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's continue. So here's Merz. This is Merz right after he gets done meeting with the Europeans and the United States delegation, the Ukrainian delegation, after hearing this peace plan, which they do not want. They are opposed to Trump's peace plan. They do not want peace, and they're trying to sabotage it. And so this is what he had to say about America, and you're going to hear it in German and see the bylines there. Let me make sure the volume's up for this crazy nut job. He's insane.
Ich komme gleich im Zusammenhang mit der Außen- und Sicherheitspolitik darauf noch einmal zu sprechen, aber liebe Freundinnen und Freunde, die Jahrzehnte der Pax Americana sind für uns in Europa und auch für uns in Deutschland weitestgehend vorbei. Es gibt es nicht mehr so, wie wir sie kennengelernt haben. Und da hilft auch keine Nostalgie. Und ich wäre einer der Letzten, der sich dieser Nostalgie nicht gerne hingeben würde. Aber es nützt nichts. Es ist so. Die Amerikaner nehmen jetzt sehr, sehr hart ihre eigenen Interessen wahr.
I want you to hear the modern day Hitler talking to his people. He is at the CSU CDU event. So this is his political event. So he's desperately down in public opinion, just like Macron and Starmer. He's very unpopular, and his economy in Germany is going very, very poorly. He's saying that the end of the era of Pax Americana, the American peace, Pax Europa, Pax Romana, these are terms that are used when you're talking about, large time periods of time. The Pax Americana, the peace of the American empire, is ending. He's saying America is abandoning Europe, that it's time. This is over. Nostalgia. You can look back in nostalgia and think, okay, yeah, they did this great stuff after World War II, but they're abandoning us now. It's up to us. We have to pay for it all. We have to do it all. Well, yeah, you've been relying on the U.S. and you still rely on the U.S. You little MFers are out there and you're going to try to say you're for peace, but then you're going to screw up the peace plan and and if you get into trouble with Russia, you're going to then come. Excuse me, hello. USA, come bail us out. Send your sons and daughters to bleed on our shore again because we effed around and found out. So crazy stuff coming out of Merz right now. Now, and it's not the only thing. The Bundeswehr, Germany, is talking about mandatory conscription for young people. All women and men under the age of something will have to go become part of the military. And so they've released like this really pro-soldier, recruiting effort. And this is Deutsche Welles News, a German pro-Ukrainian news, talking about this advertisement, talking about boosting recruitment and shaping, but they're avoiding the hard truths and reality about life in the army. So they're lying to the young people, trying to get them in to join the military because Germany has a real problem. They don't really have a very strong military. They have manufacturing, but they don't have weapons manufacturing, and their economy is in tatters. This is a place, by the way, Ursula von der Leyen, the current chancellor of the European Commission, this unelected bureaucrat that she was going to be she was the defense minister, and I think she failed in her bid to become the chancellor, and so they put her into the EU. She screwed up Germany's defense industry and defense ministry for Germany. Okay, so yeah, Pax Americana. Merz says Pax Americana is over for Europe, and this is what the Northern Europeans are saying. The Southern Europeans, they're out of money and they're broke. They don't have money to spend on their military anyway. And so you have Italian Prime Minister Meloni of Italy, who's broke, believe it or not, proposes NATO-like security guarantees. That's enough. So at this big meeting, her contribution was, hey, you know what? I twitch, snort nose, whatever her little Tourette syndrome thing she's got going. The United States needs to give security guarantees. Zelensky, you need to demand that the United States gives you ironclad security guarantees, just like NATO. So in other words, and it needs to be binding so that way the United States can't back out of it. And Zelensky goes, oh, okay, yeah, I like this idea a lot. I like this idea. Podolyak, what do you think? Podolyak whispers in his ear, which is not real. He wasn't there. Yeah, Zelensky, and get Congress to make it like treaty. And so that's what the Ukrainians and Europeans have forced back on Witkoff and Kushner as their requirement for a peace plan, is that the United States must provide security guarantees and provide for this economic zone that the Russians were never going to go for in the first place, and allow other European countries in the other part of Ukraine. But the United States is going to be the danger zone, and it's going to be a binding Congress-ratified treaty that if something goes wrong, you're fighting. That's the current Zelensky Ukraine model, or European model that has been proposed, that hasn't even been seen by the Russians. Now, here is Berlusconi, the actual deputy prime minister of Italy, Matteo Salvini. He's the real right-winger type MAGA person for Italy. And he's like, we are not sending a single one of our sons and daughters to fight and die in Ukraine. At the same time that Meloni made this comment, she also said, we are opposed to backing European loans, Eurobond loans, and seizure of Russian assets. We aren't going to secure those with Italian assets. So we get mixed messages out of Meloni, and more problems for Italy we'll discuss here in a moment. Moving on then, this is kind of a summary view. We're just going to skip over that video, and I already covered that one. Okay, we got a map, but it's important because we're not going to talk about the map. So after this meeting with Witkoff and Kushner, there was talks about Zelensky. So Witkoff and Kushner would go to Moscow and present this peace plan to Putin and to the team there in Moscow. Well, then the Ukrainians were going to come this coming weekend, Saturday, Sunday, to Miami to then discuss what was discussed with the Russians. That's changed a little bit because once the news story started breaking and Zelensky started going out there saying what Donald Trump agreed to, which Trump didn't agree to it, and we haven't even seen this peace plan, but they started framing it. The Russians started saying, well, the actions, oh, sorry, this is the Caribbean one. Sorry, wrong story. Putin's statements. So Putin started making statements that, hey, we're not opposed to depriving any security rights, but, you know, we're going to fulfill our special military obligations and the goals, including the non-expansion of NATO. Russia's nuclear shield is really modern and powerful. Nukes are now in service in Belarus. And after the collapse of the USSR, the West decided almost everything from a position of strength regarding Russia. Well, that time's over. You guys destroyed Yugoslavia and Serbs, 2 people torn apart. The West supplied armed support to terrorists in the North Caucasus. Russia didn't start this war, but you did by constantly pushing against the borders and arming Ukraine. President of Russia is confident that the previous U.S. administration deliberately brought matters to a war in Ukraine. And the U.S. and European pigs, there's that pig comment, were confident that they would destroy Russia in a short period of time. This is what we told you back in November and December of 21, and then again confirmed in February. This was their idea. Hey, don't worry, citizens. We're not going to spend your money. Russia will fall. The sanctions regime that we're going to impose is going to break Russia. Putin and his military will be over. They're fighting with washing machines and shovels, and it's going to be easy. Well, we've lost. The entire West, collective West, can't produce enough weapons in 1 year that Russia can produce in 3 months. And we haven't fixed the problem. And the problem is corruption, because all the money we're throwing at this is ending up in corrupt politicians and Ukrainian golden toilets. So anyway, that's one of his comments he made. Then he made another statement here, which I think I have, Putin statements too. Putin noted that in 2025 is an important milestone, resolving task of air defense forces. Russia is proud of the soldiers. The state will do everything possible to support the families of fallen servicemen. He noted the North Korean stuff, missile systems, drone, robotics are continually being supplied to the troops. Russian armed forces are overwhelming the enemy, including the elite units trained in Western military centers. They captured some British soldiers as well, which is interesting. The Navy received new submarines. The Reshnik will be placed on combat duty by the end of the year. Today it was confirmed Oreshniks are in service, not just in Belarus, but now along all of Russia's defense territories. And the Russian strategic nuclear forces will retain their primary role of deterring the aggressor and maintaining balance of power. Some other comments were made by Peskov, Peskov, because he's seeing all this talk by the European Union and the news media, and as the spokesperson, he's out there talking about how, hey, if you seize these Russian frozen assets that you're going to prop up Ukraine with, you say you need to prop up Ukraine for fighting for the next 2 years, you know, this is going to be bad for Europe. It's going to be bad for you guys. And then they started, in general, Lavrov and Peskov speaking kind of as the voice for Putin, foreign ministry and spokesperson for the Kremlin, are saying, hey, if you guys don't even have the things that you promised us in Alaska in this round of peace proposal that you're going to bring to Moscow, don't even come, because it's not worth our time. And so they had a meeting with the National Defense Council, and in that meeting with the National Defense Council, basically Putin made some comments. Let's hear this guy talk about it, I think. Start button.
It's acceptable to Ukraine, and as President Trump said yesterday, it's been, quote, fine-tuned. What you're saying now is it's now become unacceptable to the Russians, and therefore they're going to reject it outright, do you think?
Yes, I do. I think from what we heard from Foreign Minister Lavrov this morning, I don't expect them to actually engage on any negotiations. I think they're going to say, no, we were prepared to work off of the original plan, but we're not prepared to work off of this one. Just no negotiating. That's what I expect from them.
So Steve Witkoff, who's going to Russia next week, we're told, will be at the Kremlin holding talks with Jared Kushner, according to reports. Are they going to be wasting their time?
Well, look, I suppose it's always...
Okay, so moving on. So the Ukrainian, Putin also said the Ukrainian armed forces are going through the crucible of military action, but unfortunately, the Ukrainian state is falling apart. He mentioned golden toilets, emphasized the 100,000 criminal cases that have been opened in Ukraine for desertion. All facts. So the Russians are looking at the news media and Zelensky's brags and European statements, and they're like, hey, this is not what we talked about in Anchorage. And so get everybody in Russia, we want to pursue diplomatic means, but...
Цели специальной военной операции, безусловно, будут достигнуты. Мы предпочитали бы делать это и устранить первопричины конфликта с помощью дипломатии. Если же противоборствующая страна, их зарубежные покровители, от разговора по существу...
All right, let's back this up here and let's comment, because the goals of the special military operation will be achieved and eliminate the root causes of the conflict. If the opposing side, Europeans and its foreign patrons, Zelensky and the Europeans, refuse to engage in substantive dialogue, Russia will still achieve the liberation of its territories that are historically part of its territories. And the task of creating and expanding our military ability and whatever is going to fall upon us, and we're going to achieve that goal. We are ready to hold talks, he says, to resolve all the issues that have arisen in recent years by peaceful means. The U.S. administration is showing such readiness. Basically, Donald Trump is acting like a mediator. He's not a Joe Biden. Okay, and so we're hoping the U.S. can do this. We are conducting dialogue with them. Okay, and I hope the same will happen with Europe. Okay, but if it doesn't, we are prepared and we will continue to go through and achieve the goals through military means, and therefore we will be ready. Nothing has changed in the Russian position. It's been consistent. And of course, the pigs comment that he talked about. Now, Ukraine, they immediately started to seize upon these statements by Putin and basically say, it's going to be bad. So in German media, we have a Bild, they write a big article. They knew Putin wouldn't give in. None of those conducted the negotiations on Sunday and Monday actually believe that Putin will abandon his maximalist demands. At the moment, it seems there's no good solution for us, said another source in the Ukrainian government. Either we'll be forced into a partial surrender or the war will continue. The partial surrender is what Donald Trump's plan is. Ukrainians, leave the Donbass. That 20% of territory you must leave, and the war will end and be frozen along the front lines without any new aid. And you might have to lower your military, and you might have to have elections and a bunch of other stuff, okay? And so the Ukrainians started to talk about this stuff, and there we go. And they started to talk about Russian frozen assets. Ukraine expects to get 210 billion euros of frozen assets. Why is that an issue? Why is Zelensky commenting about this? Why are some others commenting about this? Because the American peace proposal says we are going to take the frozen assets and we are going to use them for the maintaining of peace and the reconstruction of Ukraine with the Russians. The Europeans don't like that. They need the money. We'll find out why in a second. So Zelensky,
really quick, how long would it take him to give that to Zelensky? How long?
6 months.
6 months. Okay.
So $120 billion is what's being talked about given to them for the next 2 years for military means. They need 140 some billions for the budget. and we'll talk about that in just 1 second. But that won't last 2 years. They'll blow through that in 6 months.
What's going to last longer, the cocaine or the cash?
That's right. Cocaine. Okay. So Zelensky gets out there and he says about NATO, because remember the first thing talked about how he was going to give up. How he was going to give up his NATO ambitions. Okay. But now, where'd it go? Too far. There it is. Boom. Okay. Now he says the United States is settled for it. Now they do not want to see us in NATO. But this is for now. Everything can change. Politicians change. Some leave, some die. Zelensky openly talking about a desire for Trump's death. Okay. And this has been picked up by a lot of folks. This is Dmytruk Artem. Zelensky stating that he's waiting for the death of Donald Trump. At a press conference, he said that the U.S. position on Ukraine's NATO membership could change when politicians change or someone dies. The statement cannot be interpreted any other ways. It refers specifically to Donald Trump and his team who have consistently and reasonably opposed Ukraine's accession to NATO and the continuation of the war. Okay,
what if Zelensky's talking about himself?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the mirror, up is down. So the situation is real. I'm going to tell you, he and his administration, Ukrainians, were involved in attempted assassination of Donald Trump. I've said it to you guys so many freaking times. Get ready, people. They don't want this broadcast because it reveals sources and methods, but it is real. Okay. All right. Now moving on. So that's the Ukrainians.
Yeah, the whole golf course guy, by the way.
So yeah, exactly, Ralph. So, but it's more than Ralph. It's the kid again too. All right. So then we get to comments in D.C. Okay. So the Ukrainians and Europeans, they're mouthing off about what they're going to do. The news is being leaked all over the place by the Ukrainians and the Europeans that the deal didn't go well, that Putin's going to reject this, and the media is all ready to blame Russia. Look, it's Russia that rejected it. Well, it's the Ukrainians and the Europeans that changed Trump's plan from what he agreed and promised the Russians, and Alaska would be the position. Okay. And so will Trump back down and agree and let the Europeans change his peace plan? Well, it looks like not necessarily. And so Donald Trump made some comments, and let's listen to them in. I think this will play.
Without NATO membership.
Let's start that over. Hold on. See if I can start this over. How do I do that?
If such a security guarantee is offered, what incentive is there for Ukraine to give up any sort of territory?
Well, look, you have, they've already lost the territory, to be honest. Territory is lost. But in terms of security guarantee, we're working with Europe on it. Europe would be a big part of that. And we're working on the security guarantee so the war doesn't start up again. We don't want to have a war start up again. As I said, with Thailand and Cambodia, two people I get along with great.
Okay, so bottom line is two things he said there. We're working with the Europeans. If that's true, this peace plan is dead because the Europeans are planning for war within 5 years. By 2030, they are planning to be back at war with Russia, like a Minsk. As a matter of fact, they made comments that we're not going to make the same mistakes as Minsk, which means not be ready. Not that they don't want to trick Russia again to agree to a peace and have it be fake, and then they start a war. They want to themselves be ready for the war. That's the mistake that they feel they made. And so Donald Trump's talking about, well, we're working with the Europeans on this deal. Well, they've already lost the territory, and they have, and they're continuing to lose more territory. And then Trump also said, at the moment, Russia wants to put an end to this conflict in Ukraine. The problem is that they will want to end this. Is that they will want to end this and then suddenly change their mind, and Ukraine will want to end this and then suddenly change their mind. Therefore, we must force them to come to a consensus. They ain't going to work with Russia, dude. It ain't going to work with Russia, although that's what Venezuela's about. So we're going to go on. All right. So let's hear this comment. I think I can play this with some loud volume.
Mr. President,
Mr. President, there's a meeting this weekend on Ukraine in Florida. What are you hoping will come out of that meeting?
Well, they're getting close to something, but I hope Ukraine moves quickly. I hope Ukraine moves quickly because Russia's there. And, every time they take too much time, then Russia changes their mind.
That's pretty much true. Russia's taking the land and changing their mind. So what about the meetings? What is going to happen? Well, Jared Kushner and Witkoff ain't going to Moscow. Not this week. The Russians are coming here to Miami. And there's going to be a military delegation as well as the political delegation. That's interesting. And so supposedly a Russian government IL-96 was spotted in Washington, and that Politico broke the story about the coming meeting of the U.S.-Russian delegation in Miami this week. We'll see if that's true. All right. Then we have back in Brussels. Okay, what's interesting about that, though, let me go back to that, is that Ukraine is supposed to be here this weekend. Well, if the Russians are here this weekend and Ukraine's coming this weekend, is one being delayed, or are they both going to be in Miami? We're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be an interesting weekend, and we'll bring that news to you next week. All right, so then Brussels, they're still not done because they all had a big rushed urgent meeting after the deal looked like it was going to fall apart, and they realized that Donald Trump's serious, he's pissed off, and he was unyielding in his demands with his delegation team to force Ukraine to give up this. They want to find some way to steal that money, keep the conflict going. If they can't keep the conflict going, they got to steal the money anyway. And so they started to have a bunch of meetings. And so you have Merz. We intend to use Russian assets to finance the armed forces of Ukraine for at least 2 more years. It's not about prolonging the war, lie. It's about bringing the war to an end as soon as possible, lie. And we have this comment by, close. Kaya Kalasno, I want the, oh yeah, okay. So they had this meeting, and Zelensky's coming. Well, this happened today. It started today. The European official told journalists on Wednesday that Zelensky will be present in person to make sure the Europeans hear his voice and that he will persuade them and that they must do this. Now, what is happening? What is really going on? Reparation loans, the words being used, Eurobonds are being used, etc. 7 European Union state members oppose the proposal. What is the proposal? Well, why is this happening? Why are they running around? Ukraine is on the brink of bankruptcy, reports the AP. Ukraine requires $160 billion in financing for 2026 and 2027. And although the European Union has promised and allocated these funds, they haven't. They don't have them. The proposal to seize Russian assets is likely to reduce the likelihood of final approval. So they voted already that they're going to take the assets and they're going to indefinitely seize the assets. So they passed that law already and said, we will hold these indefinitely. And the only way to reverse this proposal is if we all unanimously agree. And so if anyone tries to dissent, you get shot down. It has to be unanimous to reverse this decision. So that's a way of strong-arming sovereign states to obey this proposal by Ursula von der Leyen that these assets be seized. This is illegal. It's illegal in international law. It's a bad situation all around. All right. We want Russian frozen assets, says Zelensky, so that it not be part of the negotiation process. If they can seize the Russian assets, then he thinks they got leverage over Russia. No, that's not what it's about. They seized the Russian assets and they got the money so we can live like kings and not have to worry about golden toilets and everything like this. Okay. So the Bank of Russia this week, seeing all this news and talk by Europeans and actions and votes by Europeans, said, we're going to start suing you, Euroclear, and we're going to start seizing your assets that we are holding, which include U.S. assets, to compensate. And so you have to understand that Euroclear, which is this financial entity that is majorly relied upon by global financial system, money into and out of for doing investments. It's a it's a guarantee of liquidity almost, if you will, because of the exchange and the ability to hold assets while certain things are being gathered up for portfolios and then release the QSIPs of the new stocks or bonds or whatever. It is a very critical function, but it's a private corporation in Brussels, Belgium, which is a sovereign territory inside the European Union. And Euroclear operates outside of Europe. They operate in the Middle East. They operate in Asia Pacific. They operate everywhere. And so they have assets all over the world. And Russia's going to start suing them to seize their assets, get rulings against them to seize their assets if Euroclear goes along with this. And Euroclear has opposed this, and so has the European Central Bank. And so they've tried to push this globalist witch herself and say, okay, don't worry about it, European Central Bank. Even though you've warned us on paper legally so that you've covered your ass, we're still going to go ahead and commit economic suicide. And oops, can't see it now. Euroclear put on notice about possible ratings downgrade. This is an article that I had originally, but I can't see it anymore. Fitch, the ratings agency, has threatened to downgrade Euroclear, which would put it in default for so many investments. Billions and billions of dollars of investments and things like that would start falling apart if they go ahead with the seizure and the seizure takes place. So Marx is again saying it's the only way out for us to use these assets. It's the only way out. I think we'll be able to find a common solution for the European Union. So if stealing's your only option, says Bebo, you hit rock bottom, and that's pretty damn true. All right, so the Prime Minister of Belgium has been fighting this for weeks. We've reported on this to you. Ukraine funding failure would be EU disgrace, but still no to using Russian assets. So what is happening? What is going on? What's the latest going on? So he's talking about, hey, we were all tricked into using the windfall profits. We were all tricked into agreeing to the sanctions deal that kind of locked us into this path. You know, Biden tricked us. Ursula tricked us, and we've been doing this. But no, the book stops here. You will destroy Belgium's economy with these lawsuits. We're going to be forced to give this money back. Russia's not going to lose this conflict, and you will destroy our country. And he's being told by the Europeans, putting massive pressure on him to take one for the team. Why Belgium? Why would Belgium have to take one for the team? Because none of the other European countries want to guarantee their own country's financial position by backing the seizure with their own assets, this loan, this reparations loan. They would have to sign on and pledge their country's assets that if Euroclear and Belgium got sued into oblivion and be on the hook for potentially trillions of dollars of investments that have fallen apart, then these European countries would be on the hook. And they say, no, we're not going to do that. Well, that would put it all on Belgium. And Euroclear and Belgium have said, F no. United States has said, don't do this, okay? But they're doing this because they know it's a wrench in the peace process, that this will drive Russia nuts, that this will drive the U.S. nuts and put a wedge issue between these two sides. And so this is why they're doing it. And so, whoops, what happened to my article? Boop. All right. So, yeah, he says Russian frozen assets would have to be returned to the Kremlin eventually, blah, blah, blah. I think, and Trump says, the EU problem isn't Belgium, it's Trump. No, that's not what Trump said. This is what Politico is saying. They're saying that Trump's the one who's putting the pressure on Europe. Trump's the one who's responsible for the economic malaise and his tariffs on Europe. It's Trump, Trump, Trump. Trump's the reason why Germany's economy is failing. It's Donald Trump. And so the Europeans have gone back on this kick of blaming Donald Trump for their problems. Trump's forcing Ukraine to give up this territory. Trump's forcing this peace plan, and so on and so forth. And so Viktor Orban gets there. He said a lot of comments here, and he's spot freaking on. Okay, in a live interview, Prime Minister Orban declares the European Union's proposal to hand over frozen Russian assets to Ukraine is a dead issue, nothing short of a declaration of war. The Prime Minister underscored Hungary's rejection of any plan that could implicate the country in what he views as a dangerous escalation of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And he's in these meetings and he's the one who's telling us Europe's preparing for war. They're doing everything they can to sabotage the Trump peace plan. This is all Viktor Orban is hearing these talks. He's in these meetings. Okay. According to the latest I've seen, there are enough opposing countries to form what's called a blocking minority. There's 7 countries. Italy's one of them, referring to the EU decision-making process. So I think this issue is dead. While acknowledging that rearguard actions might continue, I believe it's off the agenda now. The whole question needs to be reconsidered from the ground up how to move forward. Well, they're not stopping. Even though he made this comment, they're not stopping. Okay, he says, so what is happening? I'll cut to the chase here. And maybe the next little link has it. Oh, actually, we'll just listen to him talk.
Guarantees for what? The whole idea is a stupid one. To take away the money of somebody. There are 2 countries which are in war, yeah? It's not European Union, Russia and Ukraine. And somebody, European Union, would like to take away the money of one of the warring party and then to give it to another one. It's a marching into the war. So the Belgian Prime Minister is right. We should not do that.
He wants more guarantees. Spot on that comment. Here he is making a comment again. Let's replay it.
Befagyasztott orosz vagy ugye halott.
Didn't have to do that. Let's take that volume back down a little bit. Okay, so what's his comment here? I think the issue of Russian frozen assets is dead. So last night I saw that there are enough countries. I think it's a dead issue. There are still many maybe post-war fighting. Could you support a joint loan where Hungary and other countries are backing this loan? This is the Eurobond issue. And supposedly there's such a scenario that's on the table. It's dead. All right. So there are 2 scenarios. Fico jumped in on this, and he's flatly opposing it. He's declared war on the European Union. He's declared war on British government-linked funding through the Eurozone and everything like that. And he's gone on and on and on. There's a great tweet here, and he has just gone after and declared war. And he's even said that the European Union used this money to try to defeat politicians in European countries that they don't agree with. And if you don't play ball, then you get kicked to the curb. They get money thrown at you by the European Union, all this illicit money, blah, 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 blah. So what is going on? The European leaders are chasing money. They are in debt. They did a $40 billion loan against banks that have assets in their country. And in that $40 billion loan, they secured it with their own taxpayers' money. They didn't have the money. And they gave that money to Ukraine. And they need these Russian frozen assets to repay that $40 billion loan and then use the rest of the money to buy weapons or give money to Ukraine or whatever. Very little money is actually going to go to Ukraine. It's going to get funneled through the system. Okay. And so Orban is spot on the deal. After spending heavily on the conflict and having previously assured voters it won't cost them a single penny, because support for Ukraine would be financed from Russia assets rather than taxpayers. If the taxpayers end up footing the bill after all those promises, it can trigger an explosive realization in Western Europe and the immediate fall of several governments. He argued that the EU leaders are now trying to secure financing outside taxpayers' pockets, pointing to the frozen Russian assets and targeting as the target and warning of political trouble if Brussels fails to obtain them. That's the real issue here. And so at the meeting, here's Zelensky walking in, and here's Viktor Orban and Tusk arguing, and it it is done today. Actually, Ursula said earlier today, nobody's leaving. We're trapping everybody here. You're not going to go home to your posh houses in weekend preparation for Christmas. We're going to resolve this issue with Ukraine. Instead of talking about healthcare, energy, unemployment, and bad economies in Europe, they're talking about and trying to seize these assets. Now, what are the two options? One is, if you don't let us seize the Russian frozen assets, she says, and use that money the way we want to repay ourselves back so the taxpayers don't catch us and dipping our hands in the cookie jar, then we have to make all the European countries agree to a Euro bond financed by your individual countries, all of you, your wealth, your financial backing, all your sovereign credit ratings, and then we will issue Eurobonds. Now, this is what the Europeans want too. They want this so bad, because if they can issue Eurobonds, then they can tax every single citizen in the European Union. Then they become the United States of Europe, and they can tax all the citizens to repay those Eurobonds. And if they can tax the citizens, then they can tax the citizens to raise an army. That's ultimately what they want: centralization of more power, taking away the sovereign power of Europeans. And that's what Orban is going on about. And so we have responses from people that are pissed off about this. And meanwhile, what is happening in Europe? Volkswagen, for the first time in its history and in the history of it, closed a plant in Germany. In Dresden, Germany, they shut down an auto plant. 200,000 cars per year, 30,000 employees being laid off. This is bad news for Chancellor Scholz, and it's bad news. Well, let's see, there's some sort of a commercial here. And then speaking about the bad news for UK and all these European governments that are sending billions of its dollars to Ukraine for golden toilets. Reform UK has overtaken Labour as Britain's largest party. We're not going to listen to it. And then in response to the meetings in Brussels and these talks that are going on, everything went to hell. The European farmers are back on attack again, and things went a little bit violent today, and a tractor drove into some police, and it's going crazy. So we got water hoses going on in Brussels, Belgium here, and a lot of the farmers, remember the UQ post about farmers. And then in Germany, Alice Weidel is calling Merz crazy for talking about sending troops to Ukraine. His irresponsible statements undermining the peace negotiations. She's hit it nailed right on the head. And so Germany is one of these countries that's about ready to fall. But does the EU stop there? No. We're going to sanction Russian tankers. They're cracking down on the Russian Shadow Fleet, and not just on the Russian Shadow Fleet, but the Russians now started to deploying vessels with the fleet, and so did Venezuela, by the way. So that blockade is dead. But they also sanctioned Diane Panchenko. Now, they call her a propagandist, and all the media call her a propagandist. This is one of the top Ukrainian news journalists that was very popular and one of the top in her field in Ukraine. And she opposed the Zelensky government and serving the people's government decisions and what was going on. And they started going after her, and so she fled the country. And so she's in Europe, and she's a very powerful voice on Twitter. And a lot of Ukrainians living in Europe listen to her and watch her, and a lot of Americans do too. And the Europeans picked up on this, and they sanctioned her. So that means seizing her personal assets. And then lastly, on the European front, what does this say? Oh, Elon Musk going after something. I don't know. Maybe there was something else there. All right. So on the ground, how bad are things? I think I got something here. How bad are things? Woman in Kharkiv arrested for selling babies. Reshnik missiles in service in Belarus, and Belarus is ready. Zelensky was busted for lying. Remember when Zelensky was at that sign saying they've invaded Kupiansk, where 2 Ukrainian female soldiers went there, and they found that he was lying. So Zelensky took this photo, and in the real situation, It's a mess. He took the photo weeks ago now, they've proven, and he was lying. And so Ukrainians got busted for lying again. Yeah, okay, blah, blah, blah. And in Odessa, there's been a huge blackout because of Russian missiles. In the Odessa region is still without power, and so they started protesting. And so there are Ukrainians all through the streets of, although those lights are on there, isn't that funny? So some people have generators. But what is driving the why question? Why? And this is where we're going to end it, because Venezuela is Venezuela, and it's an active war. This is why. This is Zaporozhye. This is the Zaporozhye line, and this is the Zaporozhye line. The Ukrainian defenses collapsed here just south of Zaporozhye, within like about 15 kilometers of the city, and the Russians are now rolling up the flanks. They've made tremendous ground in just 3 days, rolling up the flanks of all these fortifications, moving towards Rdoc. Once the Rdoc falls, and the Rdoc is going to be attacked by both east and the west and the south, then there is nothing. There is just little tiny villages and towns, no major cities of any kind of defense capability, and these fortifications can't hold the Russians back. They can't be manned enough, and Ukrainians don't have manpower to throw there. And so over here on this big wall, this big fortifications, the Russians broke through in 3 places, the north, the middle, in 2 places in the middle, and they've crossed this river, and they've crossed the Russian fortifications, and they've now secured more ground, and they're going to be working to seize this city right here, Ternavate. And once that happens, there's now a big foothold here, and the Russians are going to roll up this flank, and the city of Goliapole, this anchor in the flank, is going to fall within the next 5 days. The Russians have already gone in and crossed the river of Gaichul, and they've taken 50-60%. So the Ukrainians are desperate for this, because if the Ukrainians don't get the money, don't get the peace plan, don't get something in their favor to stop this and seize this, within 3 to 5 months, the Russians are on the doorstep of Zaporozhye. They don't even have to get there. They just have to get here, and Zaporozhye is going to start being blockaded. They've already started bombing the crossings over here, and then that gives them a foothold on the Dnieper, and it's bad news. Meanwhile, back in Pokrovsk, up here in Pokrovsk, it's bad. The defenses have fallen apart. There's not really any kind of Ukrainian armed resistance. But, and here's the big news, Syrskyi, this little town here, about 30 kilometers away, Syrskyi is pulling troops out of the north, Sumy region, way up here. Okay, and he's sending them down here, and he's sending them to Kupiansk to win media victories for Zelensky, and saying that by the end of the year, we attacked and we have a picture of one soldier in the city of Pokrovsk. So they're going to try to beat back the Russians here in this little area and try to get a picture with a soldier here. That's their objective. If Syrskyi doesn't accomplish this by the end of the year, Syrskyi is going to be fired, is what the intelligence is saying, is that his job is on the line. This is what's driving the why. And the Ukrainians run out of money in February. They might be able to hold on till April. And so they need these billions of dollars to pay off their little whatever and keep things going. And so that is the end of the presentation. We know about Venezuela and Trump's deal here, but the situation is such that, hey, we want the oil. We lost. What oil is he talking about? The oil that got taken back in the early 2000s when the Chavez, I think it was Chavez, Hugo Chavez nationalized these assets. I know because one of my companies that I was the CFO for, we lost some of our assets in that seizure. Okay, well, this is payback to Exxon Mobil and ConocoPhillips and those countries that lost all those billions of dollars assets. They didn't belong to the United States. They don't belong to us, but there's a lot of oil, and we don't want China and Russia to have access to these assets in our own hemisphere, in our own backyard. Is kind of the attitude. So it's an issue about stopping Russia and China. And Thomas Massey's, jumped on the deal, whatever, reminding you, It is an act of war. A blockade of commercial vessels is an act of war. It doesn't matter if you declared the government a terrorist organization. It's a sovereign government recognized by the United Nations. It is not something you do. A blockade is considered by international law in Geneva an act of war. But this is the reason why they're doing it. The why. Russia's rising naphtha exports to Venezuela. So they get crude oil sent over here and natural gas sent over here, and in return they send naphtha and other things back. Okay, and this trade is really big to the countries there in the region, not just to Venezuela. Okay, and so just a reminder that we tried to seize a vessel back in November and blocked it from getting to the port. Well, it got there anyway, and Russia's warning us this is a fatal mistake. Don't do this to Venezuela. China has also warned us that they are going to support Venezuela in this effort and that this is an act of war. Don't do this. This is a big mistake. And so now you're getting reports that Israel's behind this regime change operation. Okay, I don't know how much you give credit to that. But Robert Barnes, nail on the head, no blood for oil. 70% oppose military action in Venezuela. It's very unpopular. Why did Trump not go further and declare anything last night? I don't know, but we'll have to see what happens. This is an area to keep an eye out for. Is it political and military posturing to gain leverage over Russia in peace negotiations? We will know in a very short order. And that's the end for tonight. Space Shot, how'd I do, buddy? That's Hulk, man. That's Hulk. Oh yeah, there was a shooting down in Australia.
No, that's good. You actually closed. That was amazing. Holy cow! Yeah, you're on time. Space Shot's so amused. He's changing his oil too.
He's got to go in 5 minutes, so I wanted to leave time.
Thank you, Mr. Rdoc. We appreciate you getting that done for us. I got to return that back to Stetter.
Like, wait, I'm talking. I dropped the bio for that. While he may be correct, he is still a dork. Matthew Duss, the guy who wrote that article about the blockade. He's probably right about that. But I mean, he's a dork from the Carnegie Endowment and a former, Bernie Sanders. He was literally a former policy advisor to Bernie Sanders, senator.
I mean, he's not the only one that's saying that. Europe is saying it. A lot of people are saying it. It's just I grabbed that paper as a link to pull up on the screen.
Yep. What else I want to point out for you guys? Anybody up in the Pacific Northwest area up there? Evidently, they're having a really bad storm going up through there. High rates of wind I'm looking for right now because they just issued I think for Colorado, they have 100-mile-an-hour winds. I'm trying to find the damn thing I had set up there. I'm going to talk more about it on Saturday, but yeah, Atlas is also making an appearance. NASA's going to be streaming it right to Reddit if you want to watch that go around. It's going to be 1.7 million miles away, so it's not close, but Atlas is coming. So I wanted to point that out.
Supposedly there was a comment. Supposedly there was somebody got a picture of a comet or a piece of debris or whatever that was floating right along the atmosphere of the moon. I don't know if it made an impact or if it shot past the moon, but that was a pretty cool video.
So some of the high wind warnings they're getting up in Oregon, Washington, and all those things at the highest ridges, they're like Coldwater Bridge, 142 miles an hour, Mount Hood, 138 miles an hour. So, and California's going to get whacked by a Pineapple Express with all the water coming into the Pacific Northwest and then coming down into California. So we're going to get snow all over California resorts here just before Christmas. So there's a lot of resorts on the West Coast that don't have snow right now. So that's happening.
Was it nullschool.net that I always send you guys to?
Yeah, something's going on with the Roseby waves at the top. So that's something I'm going to take a look at later, and just happen to see Colorado post stuff right now. And then looking at a lot of the local parks in Utah don't have snow. They're empty.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's coming, guys. Just be there very shortly. I want to say thank you, everybody, for stopping by and hanging out with us, making sure you're smashing the thumbs up and leaving a comment in the bottom of the chat itself. I'll be sending my chat over to Liberty News. Just give an FYI out there. We're going to do a round of exits out here as we get in here. And remember, the rest of the show rolls Saturday, 10 a.m., 1 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have funnies, news, music, all that stuff all rolled into Saturday. And then I wanted to ask the guys, because obviously I know Tron does his Friday show for his deal, but obviously the next two shows are both on holidays, so we try to cram some fun in on the Friday. I don't know how that would encroach into your time slot, Tron, but what's for dinner?
Oh, that's cool. Let's do Friday. Yeah, we'll do Friday after Christmas, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah, guys, thank you for an awesome show. Thank you, Hulk, for putting this together for so many years. And thank you guys for holding the line as we continue to celebrate America's 250. And most importantly, on Christmas, guys, the birth of Jesus Christ. We love him. We always, armor of God, all that fun stuff. But as we're getting biblical, spiritual, wherever you want to be, we're seeing all these Islamic attacks, all this, Bibi Netanyahu coming out, anti-Semitism, come together with family, learn to turn off the switch once in a while. I mean, it's overwhelming, dude. This psyop upon psyop, and it's going to get a lot stranger. We have this Atlas rocket meteorite coming in. We have Bruce Willis coming on top of it like Armageddon. It's going to get stranger. Fusion scientists. I mean, it's getting, again, going back to Elon, somewhat the conductor of the simulation, the most entertaining outcomes, the most likely. I love this scenario. And most importantly, guys, the family, the love, and not just locally, all of us, coming together these many years through Patriot News, through QNN, the Discords, the YouTubes, we got broken up. We came back together. The band's always back together. And most importantly, America first. 2026, let's do this. And let's continue to dig, meme, and pray. Thank you, Patriots, for these awesome years. And we're going to continue on. Thank you, Space Shot Doc and Hulk. And dig, meme, and pray. Where we go one, we go all. I'll see you tomorrow night for Friday Funnies, Saturday Keeping It Wheel, Sunday Great Awakening Morning Show. And stay blessed, Patriots. Let's keep on rocking.
Thank you, Tron. Mr. Rdoc, go ahead.
I thought the most important thing was the Melania Trump documentary, Tron. Come on, man. Priorities.
Listen, that's just a side show. That's a side,
No, that's what it really is. That's where I'm spending my time. Okay, anyway, sorry not to give anything away.
I'm reclaiming my time.
No, I thought it was my time, Hulk. I thought I go next.
Your 5 minutes are up?
I didn't even do 5 minutes. I did like 30 seconds. Okay, my 5 minutes. I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And whether you celebrate Orthodox or the Catholic version, doesn't matter. I don't care. But enjoy time with your family. And if you fall and you trip and you hurt your shoulder and your foot and your knee again, don't worry. You can still enjoy the holidays. And that's my final thought.
You rock. Mr. Space Shot, sir.
What do I do if I get chased down the hall by a bumblebee and fall over the
It's not a bumblebee. It was a wasp, bro.
Okay.
Some nasty thing. And it was
running either way.
in my shirt, and my shorts fell off. Tripped me. Anyway.
I would have definitely. But yes.
I did the same twisting motion this time, though, Space Shot, but I didn't hit my head. I just landed on hit a cement wall.
Twisty motion. So yeah, I don't know if did we say this earlier that the dude, we mentioned that the dude is maybe a Portuguese guy now that they're saying may have gone to school in Portugal with the guy that they shot at MIT, if I'm reading that right. I mean, we'll see what the narrative says tomorrow, right? Because we know it's going to change probably again. And like I told you guys, this state is so corrupt. So I would put
and the other thing, the other thing, part of that story, really quickly, is that he was not screaming Allah Akbar. He was barking when he walked into the room.
Really?
That's what they said. Everybody else says different.
S&M, they were lovers.
Let's get this started. EMX. All right. So yeah, Merry Christmas out there to everybody. I'm heading over really quickly. Thank you, Big Hair Tsunami, Debbie Roush, and Liz G, the top 3 contributors over there on the D Lives today. I think I just dropped 50 into the bucket. There we go. And then those will come at you in 29 and 26, 25, and counting. Can't forget to thank the mods as usual. You guys and gals out there rock. Really appreciate your help. And we'll be back next week, maybe Friday. I think these guys said that we'll do. But no Thursday. That's Christmas time. So we take a break, huh? I think I'm good, Hulk, of course, to say, always got to say hello to Country and the folks over there at Liberty Base News. And I will probably raid them as well. So we'll send the whole crew over there, say hello, tell them that we sent you, and back to you for now, Mr. Hulkinator. Oh, wait, no.
Interesting.
Oh, sorry, one more thing, buddy. Forgot to mention, again, I was going to do it at the beginning, forgot. Mr. Clagster, Original Clag in the chat, my brother, is a big 6-0 today. So happy birthday to him, brother. Happy birthday to you. Back over to you, Hulk.
Where else did I want to go? Over here on the pill side. Oh, interesting comment coming out of the U.S. government. Listen to this comment. North Korean infiltrator caught working in Amazon IT department thanks to lag. 110 millisecond keystroke input raises a red flag of your true location. They found him because he lagged so far halfway across the planet. So I thought that was cool. As we go through the gold pill donations, guys over on Pill, thank you guys very much. The largest location of Table of Titans archive anywhere on the planet is going to be right there. Sean Joe gifted the cookie, another cookie. Carly donated 3,200 gold pills. I want to say thank you very much. You get one of those. And a sprinkling of that. Sanjo dropped the cookie. Jay to Dank dropped the can. Tinman 1295. Dropped a cookie, says hi fellers. Sanjo cookie. Sanjo cookie woke and walked. Gifted the can. Table Titans Thursday. God bless Hulk, Space Shot, Tron, and the whole Foxhole fam. Why were the two deputies of the FBI directors? Was Don Gino brought in special skills set for a specific case, or did he complete and then redeploy to fight a narrative war? That's a possibility. He's always good behind the mic itself. Woke and Walk dropped the cookie. Drip, drip, drip. Flood. Merry Christmas. The Sean Joe cookie. Sean Joe cookie. Woke and Walked with the cookie. And with another 117 gold pills out there, Sean Joe dropped the phone, says, Merry Christmas, Hulk and team, thank you. Sean Joe cookie. One Thunder shows up with the can, thank you very much. Curious Cat gifted the cookie, thank you guys. It is all much appreciated. I'm going to throw the scratch-offs to you guys with that. And that should be heading out the door. Remember, my crew and the rest of everybody else on Space Shot's feed are going to be dropped off at Liberty Base News. Just give them a thumbs up, a smash, and a follow. That'd be greatly appreciated. And any final things, Space Shot?
Yes, we do appreciate each and every last one of you wonderful world patriots out there for tuning in. And until that next one, thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Peace.
Much love. Be good humans.
Merry Christmas.
Hi, Mike. See ya.
Merry Christmas.
Hello, guys. Something special is happening in here. That's right. It's brackets and jackets. Bringing it back for brackets and jackets. Special Epstein Island edition. That's right, folks. Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, the man with the island, which is suspiciously close to Haiti. That's right. You see this man, Jeffrey Epstein, is funding lots of people. He's funding lots of people on the street to make sure his shit doesn't get out. That's right. They want the record sealed. Yeah, they're paying a lot of people. Epstein's paying a lot of people. Oh, boy. For one, he's got a whole Mossad media matrix in America. And I would bet you anything that Alex Jones is one of them. Prove me wrong. That's right. Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the building with songs about Epstein. It's Breakfast Jackets Epstein edition. Guys, I had some epiphanies today. I had some real big epiphanies about some guys. A big network of guys and spies and lies and liars. All right, think about this for a minute, okay? The guy in Portland, the scientist that just got busted for producing CP, that guy is 1 degree of separation away from Epstein. Epstein, the investor that lives in West Palm Beach, Florida. I know a guy who lives in West Palm Beach, Florida as well. Investor as well. Also involved as well. And all is not well with these guys. The Florida boys, the Glow boys, the Scott Israels of the world. You see, Epstein is Hillary Clinton, and Epstein is Haiti, and Epstein is a big network of media assets. By the way, did you know that Steve Bannon was going to that guy for money? Also, Epstein is Epstein Oprah. Epstein is Chris Tucker. You remember him. Epstein is also Kevin Spacey. Epstein is also Prince Andrew. Epstein is also... Who else is Epstein? Who else is Epstein? Tell me. You guys know? Who else is Epstein? Is Epstein Big Pharma? Is Epstein Bryan Singer? Is Epstein Naomi Campbell? Yep, all of the above. All of the above. Who is Epstein? Epstein is the keystone of a whole motherfucking matrix. And once you pull it out, it all falls down. Dersh was there too. That's right, we're dropping red pills every day. And red pills in the best kind of way. This is brackets and jackets for the denizens